Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back to Stamford Bridge once more. So, today we are going to enjoy some highly educated communism, but before that, some highly educated anti-communism.
That is correct. That is exactly what it is. So we did our live event. It's the first live event we've done in ages, right? And it was at a place called the Mecca in Swindon. And these guys were brilliant and not political at all. They're just like, we're just a venue. You know, people hire out the venue. And they'd had people like Katie Hopkins there and stuff like that. It was, you know, it's a big venue as well. Biggest live show we've ever done. It's a big venue. And so they're used to like controversial speakers, and they don't care. They're just like, look, we're just, you know, you pay us money. We, you know, host the event for, you know, we allow you to have it in the space, and it's just a business deal. And we got some protesters outside. And I mean, look at that photo. There are about 13, 14 protesters. And if you go back to the venue, you can see that it's just absolutely packed to the rafters, right to the back there. Every seat filled. And it was just like, Jesus, man, this was a huge win for us. And, you know, the protesters looked really lame and gay. And it's just like, okay.
I mean, this is an embarrassing little setup here, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like the man on the left here with the rainbow bunny ears.
That's a green councillor or a candidate to be a councillor.
Of course.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's just something we did recently that was just a huge win for us, and it was, you know, just brilliant fun. Everyone had a great time. And if you go back to the article, go back to the actual text, they were like, can you give us a comment on the event? So read down, scroll down, you should be able to see my comment. Oh, is it behind a paywall now?
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh, right, they put that one behind a paywall because, of course, we're getting the clicks for them. Yeah, so see if I've got an archive version. So I thought my statement was just fucking brilliant. Yeah, there we go. Here's the archive.
At least they used a good picture of you.
Oh, no, it's a terrible fat picture of me. Right, I've sent you the archive.
Yep.
Yeah, no, they used a fat picture. I sent them the picture of from the stage, because that was a picture that our producer took. But yeah, so yeah, it says, following the event, I gave a statement. Read that statement. It's so good. I was so proud of it.
We would like to extend a special thanks to the staff at Mecca for being so exceptional and professional in their duties, the police for being so courteous and considerate in the preparations, and to all of our particularly good-looking attendants who packed out the venue and brought their incredible energy to our lovely town. That's a good statement,
yeah. A little bit underneath as well.
That was the first live event we ever done in Swindon, so we're determined to make sure it was our biggest and best show yet, with being our hometown and all. Everything went spectacularly, and we look forward to the next one. Fortunately, even the weather was good, so everyone involved had a wonderful day out.
That's my little pat on the head to the protesters. You had nice weather, so you had a wonderful day out. So yeah, it was nice to be winning.
After US aid collapsed, the protests have become decidedly more pathetic.
Yeah, stand up for rapists are out there, and it's just like, oh, great, we're going, guys. But what's interesting though is that we got protested because it was advertised on Mecca's own website, obviously. Well, not obviously, but that's how they knew about it. Because normally what we'd do is, you know, whoever bought the ticket would send them the event after the details afterwards to avoid trouble. But Mecca were like, no, don't worry about it. We don't care. We're just going to put it on the website. And this was the most trouble they could cause for us. And everything went off of that hitch. All the guys organizing it were just superb. Everything was smooth as silk. So it's just like, right, okay, interesting how we're getting normal now, right? It's normal for us to be out doing real things. And these guys can just kind of suck it, because actually, like, we are just completely normal people. There are hundreds of us. And that's all the people I got to come to Swindon on a Saturday night.
Yep.
And everyone had a great time. And so it's just like, yeah, you guys can't just, you know, harass and dox and do whatever else you do. No. Like, you know, we know where we are. We know what we're doing. Everything's fine. We're the normals here.
Yeah. No, things are changing quite rapidly in this way.
Yeah. So it's good to see.
It is good to see. And just as you begin to feel hope for the world, I'm about to take that away from you.
I mean, I'll watch Hasan Piker if I have to.
Because, all right, I picked this one for two reasons. One, it's very recent. It's like 2 days old. Two, it is funny because this is a communist speaking to his people, and so he's allowed to be honest and obvious about his beliefs. And three, we have been winning a lot recently, and I feel like sometimes people forget what we're fighting against and the size of the opposition we still have against us.
Oh, just as a quick note on that, Restore Britain poll came out today, 9%.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, less than a month in, 9%.
Growing rapidly.
Oh, it's doing great, mate.
As I've gotten the impression for the last year and a half odd that there's a lot of feeling that we've already won and that now we just allow victory to take us wherever it goes. But I think there's going to be a upset in the midterm for a lot of people, and I just want to point out there's still a frightening lot of communists out there.
Yeah, and they are going to get more radical as we continue to win. People got to remember.
Yes, very much so. And I think this speech does a great job of illustrating a lot of that. Yeah. So, prepare yourself, chat, for an exposure to communism. Not just, and I want to stress as well, again, communist speaking to his own people, because normally on his streams, etc., Hasan tends to moderate himself a fair bit. Except for when he's occasionally caught out. So, we will have it a bit more unfiltered today.
People intuitively understand that there is another way for the United States to exist in the world. A way in which we're not constantly exploiting people, deciding other countries' futures for them. Or
they're not even cheering, they're just slamming their desks.
Oh, trust me, you will get very sick of this because you know the Gen Z thing about how clapping is triggering?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna get the entire gambit of left-wing affirmation and negative noises in this one.
Ah, losers, just applaud.
Allowing me to come to Yale University today.
So this is the first thing, right? This is at Yale University. Now, for the Americans amongst you, you know what that means. That is one of the so-called Ivy League colleges. These are very prestigious and, by American standards, very old educational institutions.
Yeah.
And they have, most of them, for the last 100-odd years, been very one-sided in their politics, and that is not about to change, I'm afraid.
No.
And be able to deliver a speech on one of my favorite subjects, U.S. empire. I know that it was quite contentious, it seems, that there were a lot of people that didn't want me to come here today and speak to all of you. That's right.
You hear that hissing noise?
Oh, right. I wonder what that was.
Yeah, that's them showing disapproval.
Okay, well, just for if any of Hasan's audience happen to stumble across this, I think it's totally fine. Like, I don't care. Like, he has a large channel you can just watch. It really matters not a whit to me if he goes to Yale or wherever and gives some gay speech. It's fine.
It is fine. I find it a little interesting, though, that he mentioned that it was controversial. Now, I don't know if that's merely him trying to blow off the situation a little bit, but Hasan Piker is, if anything, a very, how do I put it, not moderate, but popularly accepted individual.
Hasan Piker pushes at open doors.
Yes. He's on all the news channels. He's in all the interviews. He's the guy written about when the left wishes to present itself in a positive light. He's kind of the closest thing the radical left has to a truly mainstream character.
Yeah, and he gets mainstream puff pieces all the time.
Yes,
Like the Atlantic or wherever, New York Times. Like they give him puff piece write-ups. You know, do any of the right-wing papers give me puff piece write-ups? You know what I mean? Like, fuck off. Are you radical? You're extreme. You're just part of the furniture for these people. And like I said, you're pushing at an open door. Because really, what you're offering, Hasan, is you're like, I want freedom and equality, but just done the right way. And it's like, yeah, but we're doing freedom and equality the best we can, bro. Nothing controversial to them at all. It's all the same bullshit.
Mm-hmm. So the idea of this being controversial, I wonder how this colleges is looking from the inside now. Like on the political spectrum of things. I wonder if there's going to be a growing right-wing opposition to some of this.
I mean, maybe.
Heresy's the question.
Oh, and violent
Fire
death
is
rate
the
for 50.
answer.
Sorry. Sargon, followed you since Gamergate, but been devastated by your coverage that for Israel is the only reason to fight Islam or Iran. Those clips are used in trials. Take a hard look at Iran if you think you can vote or protest your way out of Islam.
Well, I don't, but it's just not our job to fix Iran.
That is true. And our latest attempt to fix Iran has, we must be honest, not worked out enormously well.
Hasn't gone brilliantly, has it?
No, it has not gone fantastically.
I know what that means now. I want to start off by thanking the Yale Union. I'm especially sad that Senator Rick Scott couldn't make it. I'm sure you had many opinions on whether or not we should end the U.S. empire and the global capitalist system, which is what I will be talking about today. And then your grandparents are probably going to hear about it on Fox News tomorrow. But it's an interesting resolution. End the U.S. empire. It's interesting because...
So this is today's main topic. Ending the U.S. empire.
I mean, Trump's starting to do that.
Yeah, so unironically, he does actually have a bit of a point in this speech, because the U.S. empire is not doing particularly well at the moment.
No.
It's starting to take on an aspect of the sick man of Europe, the old Ottoman Turk Empire. Overstretched, too many interests in too many areas, and not really quite enough political capital to hold on to all of it.
Quite a few internal contradictions as well.
Yes. A lot of internal contradictions.
Well, in the same way that you had the Ataturk Kemalists who wanted to modernize the thing, America has the Democrats and Hasan Piker on the radical left, who in their view, it's essentially the same thing. They want to modernize this old empire.
Service guarantees citizenship.
And so, just saying.
Yes. So this is the interesting situation, because right now, with America definitely being a little bit teetering, the right wing is resurgent, but the left too is going to have a lot of red meat on its plate, particularly after Iran, which is going to be... I'm probably pretty sure that's going to be the primary left-wing talking point for the next election, Iran.
They're also pivoting to cost of living, which is not a bad thing to pivot to.
No, the cost of living, because for so long, the entire communist argument of conquest of bread has sounded, well, fucking insane.
Yeah.
In a country that suffers from morbid obesity as its main health threat.
Yeah.
But as things again have started going a little bit array, that is now becoming more and more of a persuasive argument again. And remember, a lot of the electorate are still not particularly intelligent about what these people are offering. So simply hearing promises of affordable living, etc., There's a reason why
Yeah,
this has
yeah.
been the main communist selling point for the last 50, 60 years.
Yeah, no, that's true.
How do you end something that's already in the process of dying?
Why do you need to?
I mean, yes, the answer is nothing. You do nothing.
Yeah, this has been the perennial problem with communism, frankly. That it's like the term late stage capitalism is from the 19th century.
Are you ready to rut this?
How many more
yellow mess
centuries are we going to be in
fluttery
late stage
bug?
capitalism for? Like, unironically, what makes you think this is late stage capitalism?
Yes.
This could be the very early stages of capitalism.
The system has
like-
been collapsing for as long as the system has existed.
Yeah, the internal contradictions of capitalism are going to cause its collapse any day now, guys. All right, Marx, go back to bed. Like, whatever you say, bro.
Yes. So the thing I take away from this is they're beginning to understand that there are fractures, largely caused by themselves, and now they're wondering how to exploit it.
Yeah.
Even as we are also heading in the direction of a counter-revolution, and he mentions that as well in this speech too, as
Okay.
we are very much so in the early stages of the counter-revolution right now. Not quite as bloody as the more traditional ones, but we're definitely there. Oh, and dry fee for 100 Canadian. Thank you very much, sir. These people still ridiculous, clapping too much, so we're going to click our fingers. Booing too much, we're going to hiss like a child fan of Harry Potter.
Oh, God, that is so silly, isn't it?
I know, I hate the hissing noises.
Yeah, it's like, look, grow up, just applaud.
Yes. It's like that foolish commie rally some years ago, more so in my own country, the NDP victim card rally.
Because that's the situation with the American empire as it stands today.
Oh, is it?
The empire of the United States was born in the Spanish-American War and rose to the position of global superpower during World War II.
I like this too. So the American Empire wasn't actually created as an empire then. Which
Well,
begs the
I mean,
question,
I think-
what was it created as?
I think saying it was born in the Spanish-American Empire. I mean, yeah, sure, America took territory off Spain, but it did also populate it with Americans.
It did, and the Spanish weren't doing much with it.
Yeah, it's not so much an empire as it's just a colony or a colonial project. An empire is when
People are
one
missing-
ethnic group rules over foreigners.
World War II.
But anyway, it doesn't matter. There's no
That was a
need
good
to
one that we fought.
pedantic.
Sure, you can trace America's imperial roots to killing and stealing from the Native Americans, or to the Mexican-American War, but America's status as
What
a
about the Turkish
transoceanic...
Empire's roots? Can we trace the Turkish Empire's roots to anything similar,
Service
Hasan?
guarantees citizenship.
No. The Turkish Empire did nothing wrong.
power came with the dawn of the 20th century. After the Second World War, the American empire was in a time of expansion. We benefited greatly from our distance from the damage to the war itself. We hadn't suffered the terrible losses that our allies did, like in the USSR, with more than
I love this too. Our allies in the USSR. Which is technically sort of kind of correct.
Yeah, they're just allies.
20 million slain,
Natural allies
defeating
of
the Nazi
America.
scourge. But the Axis powers had been defeated. But the United States, fueled by anti-communist fervor, turned against its former ally, the Soviet Union.
Okay, I guess technically true.
Very, very
Soviet
much
Union
so
never did anything wrong,
technically
bro.
true, yes.
Yeah. Why did they do that? They just hated the
This
communists.
next phase of the American empire was structured as a world competition between Washington and Moscow. Everywhere the United States looked, it found communists under the floorboards, under the beds.
Yeah.
Yes. Ironically,
Communists
everywhere it
everywhere.
looked, they did find communists because the entire point of the Soviet state was to foment communism across the world.
Yeah. And as Yuri Bezmenov put it, like they spent something like 85% of their budget spreading communism rather than doing like actual spy work.
Yes. And I like how this is presented. It's like it, because this is the North Korean perspective of the world right here. Communism just happened to be there. It happened to be everywhere, and then the Americans aggressed upon it in its beautiful state of nature.
Both
We were
real and
living so
imagined.
peacefully.
And naturally, this anti-communist struggle went hand in hand with American imperial interest. From Europe to East Asia, the interests of our investors and our corporations were protected, and protected unconditionally, mind you. And rather than start converting our swords into plowshares, at the end of World War II, we dropped atom bombs, 2 of them to be exact, to show the rest
Okay,
of the
but were the communists converting their swords into plowshares, Hassan?
No,
Are you
they were
ready
building
to
more
rut this
swords than
yellow
ever.
mare's fluttering
Fucking retard.
In fact, the primary reason why we built our largest sword, NATO, was because the communists had so many swords.
Yeah, I mean, he's just acting like the US is the only country in the world with agency. Like, communists are gay retards, and therefore they weren't capable of doing anything. So, well, if you say so, Hassan.
And I like the slight linguistic trick he did there as well. After World War II, America dropped 2 nuclear bombs. I don't know.
Just for the fun of it.
I'm pretty sure that was during World War II, but do I know?
Oh, it's just having a laugh, isn't it? Just a lark.
the world that we had that capacity to change the tides of history in an irreparable manner. We helped
Irreparable too. Like, okay, we ended World War II. To Hasan Piker, that was an irreparable thing.
I mean, Japan seemed to get over it.
Yeah. In fact, Japan seems to have benefited quite massively from
Yeah.
it. And compared
Japan's
to
doing
Operation Unthinkable, unironically, yes, Japan has actually benefited.
helped out Nazi and Japanese war criminals. We got into a hot war in Korea where we used the information that we got from those pardoned Japanese war criminals, chemical and biological warfare, on Korea. And we began.
Now, that is actually true. The Americans did pardon a lot of criminals.
Yeah, yeah.
Also-
I mean, didn't the Soviets take a bunch of Nazi scientists too?
Oh, yeah, everybody was taking as many Nazi scientists as they conceivably could.
Yeah. So, again, point the finger.
Also, got ourselves into a hot war in Korea. Excuse me, Hasan, how did that war start?
Didn't the Chinese Communist Party begin that war?
Because I watched a Chinese propaganda movie about the
So did
Korean War.
Hassan.
Yes, exactly. 'Cause in that movie, the first frame is, and then America invaded Incheon in North Korea.
Yeah.
That is actually Hasan Piker's worldview of world history. Korea was doing nothing wrong, and then one day America just went to war against North Korea.
That works.
That, because I was watching that Chinese propaganda movie, thinking like, hold on, this is stupid to us, but to billions of people, this is history. And the fact that somebody in the West has already accepted that history, full sail, shows us how easy it is to simply just rewrite history.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I'd even say it's rewriting, right? Like, history can be very easily curated, as the left has found. And the only things you think are the things you know. Obviously, you can't think of things you've never even heard of when it comes to, like, you know, how did we get here? And so it's not even necessarily rewriting, because that assumes a kind of objective knowledge of history that doesn't really exist, I think. It's more curating.
Yeah, it's a linguistic trick. Because he got ourselves involved, which is, again, it's technically true. America decided to aid its ally that was being invaded by a communist power. So,
I mean,
yes.
again, notice the passive language.
Yes. Passive language.
Heresy's the question.
America got
Fires
itself
the answer.
involved in the war. Nothing more, nothing else,
God,
nothing
America
less.
just keeps doing that, doesn't it?
Nothing was happening. Nothing was occurring. It just... America decided to go to war.
It just does that sometimes.
It does.
And this long-term worldwide Cold War. In other words,
And again, as if this is America's problem now. Like, America started the Cold War by getting itself involved in a war in Korea.
You ignorant slut.
That
And
is
also, America was at a massive disadvantage in the Cold War in that it was an open society. The West generally were open societies. The communists were a closed society. They literally had a wall preventing people from escaping. Like, you literally had to show your papers to go between regions. Like, it was a highly bureaucratized tyranny, as if, like, none of that matters.
None
As
of
if,
that
like, well,
matters.
America is just, it's like, no. America was tremendously vulnerable here.
It was.
And that's why you
Words.
had the Red Scare to begin with.
We became the monsters that we had supposedly vanquished.
America became Nazi Germany.
Yep, definitely. That's
Yes.
why Hasan Piker, a known communist, is standing on stage in a university in America speaking about American tyranny.
Yeah. Nazis were all completely about free speech.
Oh, absolutely. And they were definitely about open education institutions as well.
And giving communists a platform. They love
Absolutely.
giving communists a platform.
Hasan Piker exists in two separate realities at once. At the one time,
Sure,
he
exists in
lives
one.
in fascist America that became Nazi Germany after it defeated it, taking up its spirit in essence. And he also exists in a reality where he stood in a suit at Yale University holding a speech to a room full of communists.
Yeah. Yeah, ironically. It's complete hyper reality.
What Americans call the Cold War,
I have
what
lost.
Americans call the Cold War was, to most of the people on the planet, an endless series of butcheries, each more perverse and more tragic than the last.
I wonder who started some, because America must have just been unilaterally aggressing upon countries all over the world, right?
Mental how America is the only agent in the Cold War.
Yeah.
Who's the Cold War against us on? What were they doing?
I mean, nothing, one assumes. They were just, natural states of communism that had cropped up across the world with no agency, no nothing. It just happened.
They don't even warrant a mention in this.
No, and then America just came in. It's like, no, you don't get to do that. You don't get to be
Look at you
communist.
living in harmony. It's mad.
In Korea, the United States dropped 635,000 tons of bombs. By comparison,
What?
the United
On
States
schoolgirls or on enemy units?
dropped 500 tons of bombs in the entire Pacific theater in World War II.
And here's another funny thing. So it's like, oh, we dropped way more
Nazis
bombs.
didn't do
Korea.
that much in the Pacific Theater. No shit.
Yeah, because he's like, in the Pacific Theater, yes, there wasn't a lot of bombing going on in the Pacific Theater because there's a slight difference. It's difficult to bomb Japan from America.
How much happened in Russia or France, though, from the Nazis, Hasan? Just out of interest.
Oh, we don't care about that. And I love, again, because this is obviously a
Mad.
prepared speech. He's got a letter out
Yeah,
front of
yeah,
it. And he's specifically mentioning, oh, how do I make this sound bad? Okay, we bombed Germany a lot. God, we bombed Germany a lot.
Oh, no. What did Germany do to deserve that, Hasan?
How do we? Oh, yes, I know. Pacific Theater. That's
Yeah.
how we do it.
Yeah, the Nazis were hardly involved over there.
That's true.
As if there weren't still bad guys in the Pacific fucking theater, man. Who'd want to be under the Empire of Japan or the communist Chinese? Fucking hell.
The United States and its allies destroyed Korea, cut the peninsula into two, built up an anti-communist dictatorship in the southern half, and have maintained a 75-year...
What? How many elections have they held in the North, Hasan? And he'd say, "Oh, what? Every 4 years."
Yes.
Already, who's won? Well, the royal family every time, the imperial family of North Korea or whatever they call themselves, every time with like 99.9% of the vote. Why do you ask? Oh, I don't know, Hasan. Why do I ask?
Why does anyone ask? And I also enjoy this
Ridiculous,
idea.
man.
So Korea has been destroyed by America. America just went in there, destroyed Korea, which is why it now looks like any Western civilization.
Well, just like Japan, really, which is why
Yes.
it's gorgeous now. Yeah.
So that's a little strange. And to be fair, like South Korea is not a good place right now. But that's not because it was bombed. It's because it has had a full-on demographic collapse.
Yeah, but why has it had a full-on demographic collapse? Communism, in the form of feminism, has been infesting it for the last 2 decades or whatever it's been. And it's destroyed the relationship between the genders. It's destroyed them.
Yes. So South Korea was always a pretty damn poor country because throughout pretty much its entire history, it's been bullied by China, by Japan, by its neighbors, by itself.
Hang on a second, sorry.
I think you just had to step away. I'll continue my rant. And more recently, it was destroyed by communism. Specifically, gender ideological communism, as South Korea has had an enormous growth in not just what we would have feminism today in the West, but actual proper militant feminism that has ruined the societal bonds, which has led to the demographic collapse, and to the point now where Korea's birth rates are deep in the negative. Strangely enough, this isn't happening in the North, because in the North, where they live in literal feudal villages under local warlords, they kind of got to keep the birth rates up. For the simple reason that if they don't, they're kind of going to get wiped out. As the South Korean birth rate has it's not even at the replenishment level. It's far beneath it.
Sorry about that.
No problems. I was just expanding upon the problems of South Korea.
Wow, yeah. But I mean, like, this area of Asia has always been poor, that's the thing.
Yes.
So the state it's in now is the best it's ever been materially.
Yes. Korea has always been poor, and it's always been incredibly tyrannical. The rule of law in Korea was barely in existence up until the early 1900s, where the Joseon emperors just executed people for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
But yes,
I mean, Korea used to literally be a slave state.
Oh, yeah. So capitalism has not been able to save Korea as well as it could, largely due to the invention of feminism.
Economic war against the northern half.
An economic war against the northern half. America sends North Korea subsidies. Especially in form of food. Huge quantities. Yeah. So that's a strange form of economic warfare to have there.
Well, I mean, if it wasn't for America, North Korea would literally starve, so...
Global American aggression during this period, however, was not limited to the military. Sometimes we used covert operations to take out socialist governments, replacing them with our favorite clients.
Capitalist governments.
Yeah.
The Soviet Union does the same. Like, what the fuck is your point?
In fact, he's about to illustrate that.
Exceptionally effective in the Third World, where the American empire went into overdrive. Take the case of Chiquita. Some of you might be familiar with this company.
And to be fair, yes, Chiquita is one of the horses that communism has ridden the hardest, because that was actually a pretty fucking terrible company.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, the United Fruit Company basically bought up Guatemala. They called it the Octopus because their corrupt government allowed them to take over the country.
Yes.
So, okay, don't get me wrong, bad. But I mean, your corrupt government was instrumental in this.
Today, it's one of the world's biggest food companies. But once upon a time, it was called the United Fruit Company. And for a decade, the United Fruit Company worked as kind of a state within a state in Guatemala. All resources in the country, land, labor, transportation, you name it, were mobilized in service of United Fruit and its investors.
That's an overstatement. It was something like 43%. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's way too much, but it wasn't all of them.
Communist lying? Are you sure?
Eventually, there was no part of the state left uncaptured by United Fruit. But a left-wing government came into power in Guatemala.
Now, if I was to look up how the left-wing government came into power in Guatemala, Hasan, would I find some sort of active measures there, I wonder?
Yeah, would the Soviets be behind it?
Yes.
After a 1944 revolution, and the socialist government pursued.
Ah, there we go. 1944 revolution. There we go, yes. Until the end of the Civil War. Yes.
Trigger warning for all the capitalists in here. Land reform. To make matters worse, they tried to break U.S. corporate control over their land and to reappropriate it to Guatemala's vast peasantry. To make it even scarier, they also reformed the labor code, giving the power to strike to the workers on United Fruit's plantations. But Uncle Sam had different plans. That was far too much. I should point out that the American Secretary of State, John Foster Dulles, you might be aware of this person, had previously been United Fruit's corporate lawyer. Now, he was in a position to back them up. In 1954, the CIA organized
a lawyer
in Guatemala.
A lawyer?
Okay.
They did this by isolating Guatemala diplomatically, punishing it economically, cutting off weapons purchases, and when Guatemala was weakened,
why was the socialist state of Guatemala purchasing weapons?
Great question.
The CIA organized an army in exile to finish the job. And to throw out the socialist government, the CIA drew up a list of a dozen communists to be killed, dozens of communists to be killed.
Dozen communists to be killed. Wow. It's quite the deep purge there.
I mean, you're winning
by assassination. Guatemala has suffered in poverty and violence for most of its history since then. Now, many people have rightfully wondered, what was the point of defeating the Nazis if we went on to dominate so much of the globe as violently as we have?
Oh, that's a fantastic question, Hasan. What was the point of defeating the Nazis? Are there any ways in which we could possibly admit that the Nazis were worse than America? I'm just interested now. Is there anything we can find?
Hang on, no, you're missing the point. Like, yeah, no, Hasan, right? We're not like being like, right, okay, us and the Nazis and the communists, we all agree on a moral telos of the universe, and the person who is most moral gets to be in charge. That's not how that works. What it is America versus Germany versus Russia, who gets to be in charge? And the Americans are like, well, we want it to be us. And we won a war, and we won the Cold War, so we get to be in charge. That's how that works.
That is how that works. But I just love the idea that...
ready to rut this yellow mare's
was there any point in defeating the Nazis if America was going to take over? As if he can see no perceivable possible way in which the world would be worse off if the Nazis had global hegemony.
But the point is, yes, we defeat the Nazis so we're in charge and not them, because we're us and they're them. That's why anyone ever goes to war, really.
Was the point of all of it so that we could have the rest of the world to ourselves?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And thank you as well. It's like,
isn't the point of any war to win?
Like, listen, as much as I complain about our current society and its many problems, I still think that a national socialist government would probably be worse.
Yeah, I would rather America in charge than Nazi Germany. You got me, Hasan.
Yes. For all of our societal problems, I think I prefer this version.
And, I concede that America has its fucking problems.
Absolutely.
The Guatemalan president, Juan José Arevalo, delivered a speech at the height of the American pressure campaign that kind of channels that exact same question. Before the coup d'etat, he said these words, and I think those words still ring true today. He said, and I quote, "The war that began in 1939 ended, but in the ideological dialogue between the two worlds and two leaders, Roosevelt lost the war. The real victor was Adolf Hitler. It is my personal opinion that the contemporary world is moved by the ideas that served as the foundation on which Hitler rose to power."
Okay, he sounds like a retard.
He sounds like a pretty hard retard, yes. He sounds
Sam,
like
you lost me
somebody who, right after the crimes of Nazi Germany were revealed, was the first person to reach out for and grab a hold of the stick that communism would use for 80 years thereafter, and he called his enemy a Nazi. He was the revolutionary in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, Hasan. I believe that he was the leftist you're claiming that he was. First thing out of his mind, you're a Nazi. Oh,
You're a Nazi.
All right, retard. But the thing that really is the communist charge here is just the Americans believed in the existence of a nation state, and the Nazis also believed in the existence of the nation state. That's the principle on which America and Nazi Germany agree. That's it.
Yes.
I mean, if it helps, Hasan, right? Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union agree on the principle of social justice. They don't agree on the principle of the nation state, but they did agree on the principle of social justice. So you're just like the Nazis in that regard, you fucking Nazi. How about that?
And yes, you will grow very tired of the hissing noise.
70 years later, I think history has proven Arevalo right. In place after place,
70 years later, history has proven that America is Nazi Germany.
Yep. No, even worse. 70 years later, history has proven that Hitler won. I don't know.
I think he might be dead, mate.
I don't know.
The Nazi Empire got destroyed. I don't know. I mean,
I'm not convinced about this.
time after time, the United States can never settle down its imperial bloodlust, this forever hunt for manifest destiny. We can draw a
that sounds
straight
based, honestly.
line
But
from
then, as if the
indigenous
Soviet Union could either. The Soviet Union just failed, Hasan.
Yeah. Soviet Union tried. It tried.
Yeah.
It invaded Afghanistan. That was their Vietnam. They were arming every government it could get its hand on, including, again, Hasan, who was Guatemala trying to purchase weapons from? Again, exactly.
Just friendly neighborhood arms dealer. Don't know what you're talking about.
Presumably, yes.
massacres of the early United States to the 20th century, killing fields that we have created in the Third World.
Killing
Has
fields.
the Soviet Union, did the Soviet Union kill anyone, Hasan? Anyone at all? A single person were they killed by the Soviet Union? The answer is obviously yes, millions of them, you fucking retard.
In fact, I like the mention here of killing fields in particular.
Yeah, it sounds a bit Cambodian, doesn't it?
Yes, it does sound a little bit Cambodian. Now, I'm not an expert on, South Asian policies, but what was the politics of the government in charge at that time, Sargon?
Well, it depends on whether they make Hasan Piker look bad. If they make Hasan Piker look bad, they were capitalists. If they were a side that Hasan Piker likes, they were definitely comrades.
Right. So whatever government produced, and here's the thing. A lot of people don't know about Cambodia beyond the, in essence, meme of it all, right? Because it's essentially a little South Asian country, nobody gives a crap, right? But the reason why they called it the killing fields wasn't because it was just a place they brought them to kill people. It was because there were so many executions, there were entire fields covered in skeletons.
I mean, they killed something like 40% of their own population.
Yes,
It was genuinely just shocking.
yes. They buried over 1 million people, and
Cambodia wasn't a big country, but they still managed to kill millions of people.
yes. It was absurd. That's why they call them the killing fields, because of the sheer quantity of human remains they found. So I like that, the killing fields. The killing fields of capital. How many things like this can we find in capitalist countries, I wonder? Can we even mention a single capitalist country in which we can build pagodas full of human remains to show off the crimes of the capitalist regime?
Trick or treat.
I mean, we can do it on buffalo remains.
That's true.
But no, not really.
Yeah, the closest we come are the buffalo.
Hi.
I feel like this is the moment when Hasan is like, am I getting away with this? Am I actually getting away with this?
No, I think he knows that his audience is well primed for this kind of one-sided historical revisionism.
For decades, tearing society apart at home for pretty much no strategic gain abroad. In Iran, we spent the
I thought we
1970s.
conquered the world. I thought the West took everything over. What did we take it all over for if we're just going to be Nazi Germany? But I thought we were in charge of it all, Hasan. How can you say it's for no strategic gain if we are in charge of everything?
Sending the brutal Shah's regime billions of dollars of weapons, only for those same weapons to fall into the hands of the Islamic Revolutionary Government in '79, our new and heavily armed worst enemies that kept propping up over and over again, enemies that we designed sometimes
Oh,
because
it's actually
they
against the Iranians then. Interesting.
simply wanted to have dignity and sovereignty.
No, they wanted dignity and sovereignty.
Well, I mean, that's definitely among the things the mullahs wanted, I suppose.
I mean, dignity, definitely. A very Islamic form of dignity, but
also sovereignty. The Iranian, the regime wants its own sovereignty. That's fair. It also wants hardline Islamism from a Shia perspective, but,
The story keeps repeating itself over and over again. We didn't do much better with Iraq, where we spent the 1980s arming Saddam before invading and then sanctioning Iraq into destitution. We wielded Iraq as a weapon against Iran as well at that point.
okay, actually as well, I will defend American imperialism here because Iraq has actually turned out relatively well. Like, out of the various recent projects of America, many of which have not gone particularly well, I admit. Afghanistan, that didn't work out great. Iran, that hasn't worked out great. But Iraq is actually a bit of a success story in this.
I mean, there was that ISIS thing.
True. I mean, they
That was pretty rough.
You can't expect the Iraqis to fight for themselves. Okay, we've demonstrated this already. But comparatively, Iraq has remained a mostly democratic country in the region.
I mean, I think it is slightly questionable, but okay, moving on.
Again, compared to the other projects,
Sure, relatively speaking, yeah.
yeah, relatively.
All that before we actually invaded and just straight up broke the country in 2003. I can go on and on and on. And we celebrated
Again,
the fall
hang
of the
on,
Soviet Union.
Hassan. Who's in charge of Iraq before we overthrew them?
Service guarantees citizenship.
Nice guy,
Nice guy.
communist Democrat, I don't know.
Yep. Saddam
Someone who
Hussein
definitely
really didn't do all
gas
too much wrong.
people. Like, just fucking mental.
Union, cheering on its destruction, which plummeted millions and millions of people into an economic disaster, the consequences of which we still see today. An economic disaster, Soviet Union.
All this apart. Yeah.
I can go on and on and on. And we celebrated the fall of the Soviet Union, cheering on its destruction, which plummeted millions and millions of people into an economic disaster, the consequences of which we still see today.
How could you, America? How could you cheer on the destruction of the Soviet Union? Don't you know that's going to be an economic disaster?
The economics of the Soviet Union was just so brilliant.
Yes.
Everyone was just living such a high life. I can't believe they would crush the Soviet economy like that.
How could they? That's terrible. How could you cheer on the destruction of the Soviet Union?
Look at the luxury the average Soviet citizen was living in. How could you do this to them?
It was fantastic.
Fucking hell, he lives in a total land of delusion, doesn't he?
He does. And the best part is, okay, for all of the shortcomings of Russia today as well, the average living standard in Russia is actually substantially higher today than under communism.
Well, it's not that hard.
No, it's not that hard, and that's why this is funny. It's like cheering on their economic destruction. Listen, the Russian system had caused its own economic destruction. That was the entire reason why it collapsed. The reason why America won the Cold War was because the Russian economy was shit.
People were desperate to escape it, Hasan.
Yes.
Like, they literally had to build a wall to prevent people running to the capitalist side.
Yes. See, again, in the West, we had an open society. It was easy to infiltrate us. Spies was a big problem. We hadn't the same opportunities in the East. The way that the West gained the majority of its information, because this is why we called it the Iron Curtain, because we couldn't infiltrate it. We couldn't get information out. The reason we got most of our information out of the Soviet Union was because of all of the thousands of people desperate to flee it. That was why.
Mental.
It is absolutely insane. We have now arrived at the point where we are declaring the fall of the Soviet Union to be a disaster.
Well, I mean, it is a disaster if you're a communist like Hasan Piker, right?
That's true.
Like, it probably unironically feels like a disaster to him because he's a retard.
I do adore that. I do adore that quite a bit. Oh, Harry, the human substitute Rankar for like $200. Jesus Christ. Thank you, sir. Across 4 messages. Hello, Sargon. I know I said I was saving up for a house for me and my girlfriends. This might be against my better judgment, but we're not boomers here. One load seat a video, comment, and a few super chat won't put too much of a dent in stuff. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It was lovely to meet you. I hope you didn't put you off with talking about Attack on Titan, but I was only explaining I like the politics in the show for the same reason I like the politics in the prequel. Sorry, I had to leave the party early. Oh, were you at the event?
Yeah, he was at the event. No, it's totally fine.
Awesome.
Obviously, don't worry about it.
But my back injury from the martial arts was killing me, and Harry was tiny compared to what I thought he would be on the show. You all talked about him like he's a giant, so I expect him to be a giant like all my cousins, all 6'6".
He's 6'3", which is pretty big.
And anyway, my back is getting better. That's good to hear. And I very much enjoyed the event. Never been to anything live before with too many responsibilities. Never had the opportunities. If I'm not in pain, I'll stay along next time.
It's all right, man. Well, I hope you had a good time.
It's awesome. It's very awesome.
It's Zoran Mamdani's election victory night party. I was interviewed by a media outlet where I said, we defeated the USSR, and the USSR dissolved, unfortunately. This was quite the controversial statement at the time.
Yes, that is a pretty fucking controversial
It is
statement.
quite a retarded statement, yeah.
But again, okay, throughout all of this, he's presented it as if the Soviet Union was doing nothing. He hasn't mentioned with one word the actions of the Soviet Union. So, in his worldview, the Soviet Union was just this huge communist country where people presumably lived in democratic socialist opulence, and he did nothing in the rest of the world. Nothing at all.
Yeah,
And
as
in
far as
that
Hassan is
framework-
concerned, the Soviet Union is not an agent.
Yes. And in that framework, the collapse of the Soviet Union was an absolute tragedy. A giant, super peaceful communist country that did no wrong at any point in history? Wow.
How could the capitalists do this to us?
How could the capitalists do this to them? That's absolutely horrible. I want you, chat, to put yourself in the position of like how many layers of gaslighting we're on right now. Like how many layers of alternate reality you have to take in over yourself to get here.
There's something about it just being about ideological willful blindness, right? As in, none of these things are a problem. They're part of the plan.
Yes.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, well, I mean, you know, there's no point like expecting Hasan to be honest about what the Soviet Union did because he doesn't think it's wrong.
Well, in fact, it isn't wrong because this is part of what I talked about in the left-wing chaos video as well. That, like you said, it's all part of the plan, and so it's not bad. Anything the Soviet Union did that was bad wasn't actual socialism. It was merely a step on the path towards socialism. Therefore,
and they say things like, "Well, the only bad people they killed were Nazis," and it's like, "Oh yeah, the kulaks were all Nazis, were they?"
Yeah. At the end, it's the ultimate, the end justifies the mean. Because the end is utopia, any means and the missteps along the way are merely just iterative tests towards utopia.
Yeah.
And so, since the Soviet Union did not end in utopia, it as good as in the communist worldview simply didn't exist.
Well, it wasn't real communism, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good-natured, well-intended experiment that tragically failed to achieve utopia.
Yeah.
Fox News still loves repeating this soundbite.
Because it makes you sound really fucking stupid.
Yeah, and evil.
Yes, and evil.
And some Democrats also channel that frustration as well.
Because it makes you sound stupid and evil.
Your own people are taking distance from the thing that makes you sound stupid and evil.
I can't believe there are Democrats out there who aren't fucking communists.
Why would they do this? Don't they understand we're all in it for the same cause, comrade?
Well, no, because literally they are. Like, he's just got a more advanced view on what social justice is than they do.
Yes. Yeah, yes.
It's literally the difference.
Oh, the problem is, those other Democrats, they still believe that we should be able to think like individuals and form our own opinions. Whereas Hasan has, of course, fully adopted the Robespierrean view of, no, there is only one type of citizen. The Republican, or communist, citizen.
Yeah. He literally thinks this.
They say, how dare you, Hasan? The USSR was our enemy. They were ruthless, authoritarian.
And were they, Hasan? Were they ruthless?
Yeah.
Were they
correct in that?
Were they authoritarian?
Was Stalin or Trotsky or Lenin, were they ruthless?
You
no, not Lenin. Surely not Lenin was ruthless. Like, what are we fucking doing, Hasan?
The fall of the USSR was one of the greatest catastrophes of the 20th century.
Not for the people living under it, but for Hasan Piker.
Also, one of the greatest disasters of the 20th century. So the First World War, not a big deal. The Second World War, who cares? The nuclear bombing of Japan, which he made such a big deal about earlier, Cambodia.
Could have been worse. Could have been the fall of the Soviet Union, bro.
Yeah, none of this ranks, and I want to point out the dissolution of the Soviet Union, which happened virtually without violence, because the government was like, okay, we're unfathomably unpopular. Like, we've ordered the military out into the streets, and they've joined the protesters. It's over, bro.
Yeah. I mean, they were literally cheering as they tore down the Berlin Wall, Hasan.
Yes, but that was one of the greatest disasters in the 20th century.
I love the idea that Hasan watches the fall of the Berlin Wall footage and he's just weeping, wiping away his tears. It's like, but we were oppressing all of these people and it was going so well.
Just wait, listen, maybe you'll agree. Not only was there incalculable harm done to every single country under its banner.
I mean, yeah, but tell us more about the fall.
And was it too? Because a lot of those countries, like Hungary, Romania, Poland, they fucking cheered.
Yeah, they didn't exactly want to be under its banner, son.
No, the reason why they were tearing down statues of Lenin by the hundreds was because they were overjoyed at its end. What incalculable damage? Wait, oh, I understand. Incalculable as in incalculable to the cause of communism, not in actual observable reality. Ah.
Well, not because it's bad for people, like, the end of communism.
You ignorant
That's true.
slut.
That's true. These people utopia was torn from their hands. Sure, they were starving and oppressed, and the Stasi were looking in through their window, but they didn't understand that they were so close. Just a few more years and everything would have worked out.
Child prostitution.
Child prostitution was caused by the fall of the Soviet Union.
I just don't have an answer to that, Hasan.
I mean, on the one hand, I'm sure, maybe,
Do you think that people didn't prostitute themselves during the Soviet Union when they were starving?
in fact, there was a hell of a lot more of that back then, and
Yeah.
I seem to remember also a brief little republic in the center of Europe for a while as well, where a lot of this happened.
Which one, sorry?
The Weimar Republic.
Oh, well, yeah. I thought you were talking about a Soviet one.
But child prostitution. Okay, so what you're telling me, Hasan, is if the fall of the Soviet Union didn't happen, if the economic resurgence of these countries didn't happen, if the democratization of these countries didn't happen, then no child would be turned out.
I mean, does America prostitute its children regularly, Hasan?
Is that a thing in Western countries? Is that something we struggle with today? Is
It's
this
communism or child prostitution, just like in America right now?
Yeah, like we only have two options. Either we have child prostitutes or communism. I'm sorry, it's just that simple.
So, Hasan, that's really weird that you'd say that, mate.
That's really weird that you would say that.
Give me communism where your children get prostituted. I
Is
think there
that
might
a
be
threat?
third option here, Hasan. Yeah, exactly. It sounds like a threat.
Oh, and it's such a beautiful leap of logic, too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is it necessary
Skyrocketing
causal
suicide
link?
rates. Life expectancy plummeting.
Skyrocketing
Is
suicide rates.
Is life expectancy lower now than it was under the Soviet Union?
I cannot imagine that is true.
Obviously not.
I cannot imagine that is true.
No, but it's not. Like, even if it was just on technology alone, this is not true, Hasan.
Let's see. Just for shits and giggles. Yeah, no, Russian life expectancy is currently about 5 to 10 years higher than during the Soviet Union.
Not a great
So-
surprise, is it? Let's be honest.
And not a tremendous surprise. And I am sure a lot of communists did kill themselves, but I'm sorry to say this, Hasan, but I'm struggling to sympathize right now.
Yeah, I don't think you're right on this one, Hasan, is what we're saying.
Yes, I question it, very much so.
But America was no longer contested around the globe.
And it led to a fucking golden age. That's the worst part. Now, when the Soviet Union collapsed in, 1990, 1991, 91, something like that?
89, I think it was.
99?
I'm sure it was 89.
89, okay. Right around that time,
Maybe it was 87. No, I'm sure it was 89.
it caused a boom time unseen in the history of humanity. We had 10, 20 years of cultural, of technological, of economical growth, the likes of which we have literally, of peace, the likes of which humanity has never seen before.
It was as good as it has ever been.
Yes, far better. We lived in an era that made the height of the Roman Empire look like a backwards fucking feudal dictatorship. English.
Oh, easily.
The common man...
For the average person as well.
Oh yes, the common man had a living standards that superseded that of Roman emperors by far.
Yeah.
And the only reason we have now managed to climb down from that golden ladder is largely because of people like you, Hasan.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are disadvantages to it, obviously. You know, as in the spiritual death that liberalism causes. You know, there are problems. You know, there are problems with liberalism. Blah blah blah. And in fact, this honestly, Hasan, right? You're part of it, right? You're an example of the problem of liberalism. It's that you don't have any great challenge. You don't have a crusade. You don't have something to overcome, and so you're making it up in your fucking head.
Yes. The absence of an external enemy meant that we did indeed decide to try to kill ourselves.
Yes.
Eagerly cheered on by the communists.
And you're doing it right now.
Yes.
You're literally looking for a crusade because there are no real demons to fight, no dragons to slay.
Yes. All of this, Hasan is standing there at one of the peaks of human existence, proudly displaying his status as a fifth column, tearing down that unparalleled... Yeah, the multimillionaire. Tearing down the unparalleled prosperity.
Heresy's the question.
And
Fire is
he's
the answer.
presenting it as a moral good.
Yeah.
Hasan is quite literally everything that is wrong with modern society.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's genuinely clownish, and it just goes to show that he has no real problems. If this is his great crusade, then his great crusade is just against, honestly, like the world having gone all right. Like I said, I'm the foremost critic of liberalism. Don't get me wrong, Hasan. It's just that you just want uber liberalism, more of it all the time. And it's like, no, that's a bad idea, Hasan. You're not happy with where it got to now. You won't be happy with where it goes to afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, True Pignet says, this pisses me off. I'm from Poland. I'm 42 years old. I didn't live for long under Soviets, 7 years, but it can't even be called horrible. I want Hasan to witness it in all of its glory.
Yeah.
Listen. It wasn't real communism.
Yeah. Which is literally the argument he would make.
Oh, not even would. Like, we've seen it. I remember seeing literal, like, Reddit threads of people coming from Eastern Bloc countries onto communist Reddits and going like, listen, this is how reality was. And they were like, why do we always just hear from the so-called victims of communism? Why don't we ever hear from the people it helped?
Yellow mares will literally
Who knows?
An incredible question.
Who knows, indeed?
Perhaps one day we'll find an answer to it.
Maybe one day we will finally unearth all of the uncountable billions who thrived under socialism. One day they'll step forward, I tell you. One day!
But today is not that fucking day.
Today is not
God.
that day.
It's precisely because of the end to that multipolarity that we saw accelerated neoliberalism that is devastating every...
And hey, for once he's actually on point. Not for quite the reason I think he means, but he's right.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's not there aren't problems.
Western nation right now. Unlimited and unchecked greed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, Hasan. Unchecked greed, Mr. Multimillionaire. He's actually correct. Unchecked greed, endless gibs, endless healthcare, food as a human right, housing as a human right, healthcare as a human right. Unchecked greed is what has destroyed our society.
Genuine problem, Hasan. Correct. Communism is not the answer.
Guarantees citizenship.
Another genuine problem is not the solution.
Our successes are leading to our own demise and the demise and collapse of the liberal system.
Aren't you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised. Well, I guess, the thing is, he's now reached full communist position, right? And so, as so famously put, the liberals do get the bullet too.
But the reason that he's complaining about the collapse of the liberal system and being like, see, look, you're losing, is because fundamentally he knows that the liberal system is a vehicle for his values.
Yes, it is meant to
Which is why he's in Yale giving a speech.
Yes.
The U.S. has produced disaster after disaster after disaster.
But a lower number of disasters than the Soviet Union, which is why it's still around.
By orders of magnitude.
Yes.
Like, you think of all the famines under communism, the various communist regimes. I mean, holy shit, man.
I am reminded, however, of some famous words spoken by a guy by the name of Mao Zedong.
Of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
Speaking with an American journalist in 1946, Mao Zedong said these words: "All reactionaries are paper tigers. In appearance, the reactionaries are terrifying. But in reality, they are not so powerful. Speaking of US imperialism, people seem to feel that it is terrifically strong. But it will be proved that the US reactionaries, like all reactionaries in history, do not have much strength. In the United States, there are others who are really strong. The American people."
Who are not communists.
I think about that quote quite a bit.
I think about that quote quite a bit too, because it proves yet again that you're an idiot, Hasan. Because if the I would love to be in this man's head whilst he's writing this. So, collapse of the Soviet Union, American hegemony, America rules the world. Mao Zedong, America is weak, and imperialism will not go far.
And the American people will eventually convert to communism or something. It's like,
Yes.
that's not going to happen.
Especially in these last couple of weeks as Operation Epstein's Fury wages on.
I love how Epstein has become the new, Nazi for the left wing.
Yeah. But the thing is, the problem that they have is that everyone agrees.
Yeah. Nobody's like, oh yeah, Epstein was a good guy.
Yeah, there's no partisanship over the Epstein issue. So, it always rings a bit hollow for them.
Well, it's because they're specifically trying to use it as a weapon. But it has even less substance than Nazi. Like, at least Nazi, people didn't know about it, and so it was just a bad thing. Now they're just, oh, Epstein. But what does that mean? Nothing.
Who's on Epstein's side? Who are you attacking with it? And the answer is nobody.
It has become another negative word, a generally recognized negative word that they're now just using in the hopes that someone will go, oh, you spoke the bad word, and it was in the direction of that person. Oh, that must mean something.
Well, they're hoping that someone feels attacked by it, right? But nobody feels attacked by him being like, oh, the Epstein class. Like, yeah, they seem like scum.
Yeah. You know,
And you're about to call me a racist now, Hasan, when you say that as well. Because it's not ethnically neutral when you say the Epstein class.
no. And I mean, it kind of works in that well, because it is insulting to even have it implied.
Yeah. But it's like, when you say Epstein class, Hasan, right, there's an ethnic component to the word.
Yes.
And you are calling that ethnic component out when you say it. Now, okay, fair enough, man. You call out whatever you want, but you will call me a racist for pointing that out.
Which is why I would like to yet again reiterate and thank the Norwegian site gamer.no for pointing out that there is no evidence of any link between Carl Benjamin or Arch with Epstein.
Weird.
None whatsoever.
Weird. Neither of us have ever been to his island. I can't believe it. It's mad.
Yes. We've never spoken to him. We've never heard from him. We've never received any emails, some money. There's absolutely no link at all. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's
thank
nice
you.
to have it in writing, really.
Yes, it's nice to have it on black and white, just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case someone
anyone
would
was
make
wondering.
some kind of wild, random allegations or something.
Yeah, no. Anyway, you were talking about the quote-unquote Epstein class, Hasan. Please go on.
Perhaps Mao was right about
The
this.
international Epstein
But maybe
class, should we
it was a
say.
little too early. After all, being a leftist is about being right, but too early.
First time I've heard anyone say that.
Well, I mean, it makes perfect sense from the way they view the world, right? The linear growth of history, linear progression. Everything will turn out like a left wing eventually.
Yeah.
It's literally the idea of like, no, okay, I know this looks bad, but in a few years' time,
I'll have rewritten history so it looked great.
yes, exactly.
I'll revisit that quote in a little bit. I want to talk about another great man, Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov.
Lenin.
You might know him as Lenin.
Amazing.
Lenin. It was Lenin who described imperialism as the highest or newest stage of capitalism. Successful imperialist powers, he observed.
The
love that. Is
newest
this
stage of capitalism.
right? So the Roman Empire was doing a capitalism.
The Persian Empire was doing a capitalism.
The Mongol Empire was doing a capitalism.
The Egyptian
The
Empire.
Akkadian Empire was the first capitalist state. What the fuck? Anyway.
Trick or treat. Can
I
I
mean,
smell your
every
feet?
quote he's brought up so far has made every communist he's cited sound like an absolute idiot. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
Allowed
Yeah.
their citizens to benefit from the exploitation of their colonies, but the system was unstable.
Benefit
Oh my
from the
goodness. Empires
exploitation of their
exploiting colonies. That must be capitalism.
It must be. It must be.
Why would an empire do that if it wasn't for the evils of private property?
And again, hey, by this definition, the Egyptians, capitalists, the Vikings, oh god, were the Vikings capitalists? Holy shit.
God, it's so dense.
We have defined our enemy as a bad thing that has happened throughout all of human history. This is a new observation.
The development of
Fine,
imperial
you know,
economies
fair-
was
fair enough.
uneven.
Let him have it.
The colonies were a way of sending surplus capital and people into new markets.
Hold on, Hasan. By surplus capital, what you mean is a way for the evil, abusive colonist powers to subsidize enormous growth, enormous lifestyle improvements, and vast infrastructural improvements in their colonies.
What I love, what I love about it is that the concept of surplus capital seems quite alien to him as a communist. It's just like, well, how could there be more money? It's like, yeah, great question. Great
Yes.
question, Hasan.
So, what you're saying is we have a nation that
Ignorant slut.
is so well off because of capitalism that it can afford to improve other people's nations too? Jesus.
I mean, that's literally what the British Empire did. Literally what the British Empire did.
Man, this imperialism shit sounds
Heresy's
fucking
the question.
amazing.
Fire is the answer.
You can see
We
why
should-
the Koreans are up for it.
We really should have stuck with this, because right now we can't afford to send any surplus capital. In fact, that surplus capital isn't surplus anymore.
Yeah, my God, we don't have any fucking surplus.
Yeah.
Are you?
I am all for
They did a
keeping all of
thing
it at home
today.
now.
They released this thing that was, some fucking economic survey or whatever that pointed out that if Britain joined the United States, would be the poorest state in the Union. And like people are trying to act shocked, and it's like, guys, we literally spend more on benefits than we take in tax revenues. Of course, we're poor. What the fuck did you think would happen?
In the 1960s, Kwame Nkrumah, the African socialist who served as Ghana's first president, updated Lenin's theory with his own book on neocolonialism. What he described was how, in the era of decolonization, under American hegemony, colonialism actually endured. Through many different ways, foreigners were still able to dominate notionally independent countries like the Congo or Colombia.
Oh, God, Aaron, sorry. Notionally independent countries like the Congo. The fuck do we think the governmental infrastructure is like in the fucking Congo? Just the idea that the Congo is a coherent state that has declared its own independence from Belgium now. Fuck off, Hasan.
Say an African country nationalizes its oil reserves, but unfortunately, they don't own or operate their own domestic refineries.
Then
Or
they're
maybe they don't
fucked,
even
aren't they,
have
Hasan?
domestic refineries at all.
Why wouldn't they have domestic refineries, Hasan? Just out of interest, is there okay, so they're oil reserves, right? They have oil. A huge natural resource, of course. But what if they can't get to it, Hasan? What if they actually have literally no way of extracting that oil? And furthermore, no way of refining that oil?
And the government has nationalized it. And this is another thing, right? Like, the communist view of government is the government is essentially a god, right? The government is the guarantor of rights, is the giver of rights. It is literally the thing that controls everything, and nothing is beyond its reach. And so it's like, okay, well, if the government can't get the oil, then the oil just can never be gotten. It's like, no, this is why you have trade. This is why you have deals, pacts. You know, there's all sorts of things, Hasan.
Yes, this is why, when this happens, you go to another country that, for mysterious reasons of white supremacy, are somehow more technologically advanced than you, and you are, hey...
Mysterious reasons of white supremacy. I don't know what those reasons are, but I guarantee they're racist reasons.
They are racist. Could you help us extract the oil? And that company's then going to go, I mean, yeah, but...
For free, comrade. For our duty, our solemn duty for the brotherhood. But no, obviously you got to fucking pay us.
Yes. And if you don't pay them, they're just not going to. And see, that's the thing. You assume like vast natural resources that you can't reach. If you can't reach them, they're worth nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, they're literally worthless if you're not doing anything with them. Have you seen them complaining about the idea of mining asteroids?
I have, yes.
Oh my god, why? It's a fucking dead rock in space. Who cares if it's mined? So, it feels like imperialism to me. It's like, you're a retard.
It does, but that's the thing. This is yet another nuclear power argument. Nuclear power would solve virtually all of our fucking problems, which is why it's bad. Asteroid mining would solve all of our fucking problems. Every resource shortage we have can be fixed with asteroid mining. Now, obviously, that is like saying that every problem can be fixed by simply just instituting utopia, because the asteroids are kind of difficult to mine, but still...
There was a guy who landed a craft on a comet, wasn't there?
Yes.
So it's not that it's not impossible.
No. And the reason why they complain is because this will fix everything. Like, the price, like, if we actually wanted universal base minimum income, asteroid mining is how we get it. Because resources will be, like, the cost of steel will be fucking pennies by the ton if we figure this out.
Wouldn't it be great?
It'd be fucking amazing. It'd be unbelievably good for us as a human civilization, but it would also make every communist argument immediately sound a whole lot fucking less persuasive.
Yes.
Say that African nation decides to take a closer look at the Western capital-backed contracts. What do you think happens? All of a sudden, armed militancy and uprisings prop up, left and right. Instability is born out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere? So, you have here an African nation
instability.
Famous for massive instability, tribal warfare, etc., constant violence, and the government demands the Western powers pull out of that nation because they feel that the contracts they signed are too abusive. And then, suddenly, without European superior security forces or Western contractors, instability erupts. Well, it must be because the companies are paying them. The companies must be raising private armies in the peaceful depth of Ghana, surely.
No, it is, definitely.
Of course. What else could possibly be the explanation? It's weird. This region was at near constant war before the Westerners arrived. Then it settled down, and when the Westerners leave again... Huh. Oh, well, never mind.
Now, those militants might not wear a NASCAR jacket that says Shell Corporation, but that doesn't change the reality that those militancies oftentimes are working for the same exact interests.
Yeah. I believe this, therefore it must be true.
Stupid desk pounding, man.
So there's the visible forms of intervention, rendered invisible through the covert actions of the State Department, but then there's the more complex forms of economic imperialism through a financial infrastructure that Western capital has built to benefit its own interests. Offering loans through the IMF only to cycle that wealth back to foreign capital
Benefiting
is
its
one of many
own
ways.
interests.
Loans that come with tremendous restrictions like austerity.
Sir?
Tremendous restrictions like austerity.
Like, spend your own fucking money, you cheapskates.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not a massive fan of the IMF either. However, when a country like Greece, for example, has been living way beyond its capacity, paying its people social health care to points where it cannot pay for them,
Do you know what the retirement age in Greece is?
Not enough.
55!
Yes, that's what I fucking figured.
Fucking hell, man. What are we doing?
Exactly. Like, at that point, the IMF is entirely within its right to come in there and go like, no, fucking retard. You can't afford this.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I hate the IMF too. I agree it is predatory, but come on.
In England, do you have a TV show called The Luxury Trap?
No.
Okay, so over here in Norway and Sweden, we have a program called The Luxury Trap. The point of The Luxury Trap
Are you ready to run
is that there's a bunch of economic experts that go out to people who are deep in debt, right? And they break down to them why they're in debt, like spending thousands on dinners or thousands on fucking clothes and shit like that.
We've definitely got shows like that. I don't watch a lot of normie TV, but we're definitely going to have shows like that.
Yes. And the financial experts just beat them over the head like, you fucking
Kind of
idiots,
Caleb
stop
Hammer
spending
stuff,
money.
right?
Yes. That is what the IMF is doing in countries like Greece.
Yeah.
It is literally just, okay, we will bail you out. We will give you the billions of dollars you require to continue to exist as a country out of literally the goodness of our fucking hearts at this point.
Wow. He is right. There is coercive control involved.
True. But the alternative is the country collapses.
I say let them collapse.
That'd be
Honestly,
pretty cruel.
I'm in favor of people getting what they fucking deserve.
Sir?
Oh, we spent loads of money for ridiculous reasons that we couldn't afford. Okay, well then guess what happens?
Sir?
You're poor now. Your money's worth nothing. You're starving. If you want to see actual child prostitution, there you go.
On your feet.
Well, yeah, I don't want child prostitution, but like, I'm not that sympathetic to it. Or actually, to be honest, not the child prostitution, but like, the money that they're like, oh, no, live within your means. You just have to.
Yeah.
Like my country's living way beyond its means. It's like, okay, well, that's got to come to a stop at some point.
Yes. And when it does stop, the stop is going to be sudden, severe, and fucking traumatic.
Yeah, and it's like, well, what did you think was going to happen? No, tell me. I want them to literally explain to me what they think is going to happen if we just continue to live beyond our means.
Yeah. And that this exists on a national level as well. It takes longer because a nation has more that it can borrow against. That is all. That is all of it. A nation is worth more than a person, and so it can borrow more money before it reaches a state of insolvency. But when it does, everything collapses almost overnight.
It's exactly the same process.
Yes.
Like,
all of your
not gonna
debts
lend you any
come
money.
due at once. All of your outstanding money is being demanded. Nobody's willing to pay you anything. You can't get any more lines of credit. And you just come to a screeching halt immediately.
Yeah. Like an insane person addicted to spending.
Yes.
Money that is handed over to developing nations that are only allowed to be spent in ways that generate returns for
ignorant
foreign
slut.
investors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You took their fucking money. And they're like, hello, we need a return on this. You need to do something to make some fucking money because you owe us all this money. That's what lending is, Hasan.
And you will get money out of it too. That's the point. Okay, literally, Norway did this. We were like, oh, we have oil. We don't know how to get that fucking oil.
There's-
Jesus, it's deep. How the fuck? Hey, America, can you come over here and drill this? Like, sure, we'll want some money for it. Okay, that's fine. We'll sign contracts. And that was exactly what happened. Now we're one of the richest fucking countries per capita on the fucking planet. It's greed yet again. It's like, what do you mean you want the money? This is ours. No.
If you can't afford it, don't borrow it. It's just not that hard.
But it's the expectation that others will just give you things for nothing. And if they ever stop giving you things for nothing, they must be the villains.
Yeah, exactly. They're the bad guys. Fuck off, Hasan.
And to think, all of that debt in the third world that is owed to financial institutions in wealthy countries, whether it's Goldman Sachs or the IMF, capital does not go to those who most need it.
Okay.
Capital does not go to those who most need it. He says, standing in America in 2026 with living standards so high, it's becoming a problem.
But it's but seriously, think about it, right. If I just stand there and shit myself in the middle of the street, by Hasan's standards, I go, well, clean underwear does not go to those who most need it. Look at all these people wandering around with clean underwear. I'm here with my shitty pants. Yeah, I know, because you shat your pants, right? Like you did this to your fucking self. Don't take loans from the IMF. Don't spend beyond your means. It's actually not that hard to understand. And I say this as someone in a country that's massively in debt, that's going to get a massive financial crash at some point, and things are going to be rough. I'll have to bail out my fucking neighbors if I can afford to. I might need bailing out myself. Like, who fucking knows what happens, right? But the point is, it's just life. It's just reality.
This has been, with, of course, substantial updates, the system of global exploitation that has endured for decades. And it has been facilitated by the United States, which, after so many disasters, is now running out of energy to hold this system together. There are no more big enemies left that the United States can beat. And after an empire destroys all of its enemies, it turns the gun on itself.
Or more correctly, it's communist infiltrators, cock it.
Yeah, you're the one turning the gun, Hasan.
Yeah, you are the gun.
You are literally you are the gun.
That's you. It's you right there.
And that's what you're doing in this speech.
Yes.
That's the point of this fucking speech. It's the point of your career.
This is the gun speaking to the bullets.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough, whatever, but don't act like this is a great shock.
All of this plunder is not necessarily done for you. It's done for parasitic international capital.
Just call
and
out
parasitic
the
capital has no loyalty to ethnicities, religions, nationalities, but only to the almighty
Neither
dollar.
do communists!
That's true.
Literally, neither do communists, Hasan.
To the profit motive. Although critics have been pointing out the decline of American imperial power for decades, I'm certainly one of those critics, we've never seen the decline happen so quickly. And
okay, so hold on. You've been pointing out for decades, more like 100 years at this point, but it's never happened this quickly. What?
You're welcome? Are you not happy? Is this not what you want?
we have never had this much obvious evidence for it. The mini-Trumps around the world, like Viktor Orban, they're not doing so hot. They're not doing great.
Service guarantees citizenship.
As the Ukraine war heads to a settlement that will be unfavorable to NATO, the United States and Europe are fighting over Greenland and Benjamin Netanyahu. And speaking of Benjamin Netanyahu, some might say the real president.
I love that in 2026 we have Hasan Piker standing up on stage going, "The Jews control America."
Well, again, the quote-unquote Epstein class is not exactly a subtle allusion. But okay, I mean, yeah, fair enough, Hasan. Okay, yeah, good that you're brave enough to say it, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't dare that. I'd get in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. I'd get in trouble if I said that. Hasan Piker somehow, though.
A man with great ambition, constantly trying to get America to become more active in waging war with Iran for multiple decades.
It's true.
Well, he found the perfect guy to do it with. Donald Trump let the Israelis drag the U.S. into this newest war with Iran after 3 years of bipartisan support for the genocide that Israel was committing on a different front of Israel's multiple ongoing wars of aggression.
Yeah, it's pretty mad, isn't it?
It is kind of
No
crazy.
one wants Netanyahu to drag Trump into war with Iran. You know, Trump's like, maybe I will.
While Americans have shown the world that might makes right, it appears the U.S. has bit off more than it can chew with this supposedly 47-year imminent threat, which is
Thought you weren't a
really
fan of
picking
Iran,
on
son.
a country that chose to fight back for the first time in a very long time.
Chose to fight back. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, the entire Iran thing, massive misstep, stupid idea. Fermenting a revolution in a country that had just viciously crushed its revolution, hoping that people would rise up after being repressed, didn't work out. No strategic goals truly achieved. Damage taken, loads of ordnance dropped for no particular reason. And it makes America look weak. It was a terrible, terrible idea.
And now Trump was like, I'm going to blockade the Straits of Hormuz. It's like, okay.
And one of the lessons that not only we are learning, but the rest of our security partners are learning, is that in the absence of soft power, 800 military bases that we have all around the world can very quickly turn into 800 separate invasions, or in the case of the Gulf nations, it can turn into missile
Are
sponges
you
at
ready
the
to
behest of
rut
Israel,
this yellow
almost
mare's
overnight.
fluttery buttery bud?
And all of this is happening as the United States government has destroyed its credibility domestically with a murderous and absurd deployment of ICE as the cost of living just keeps going up and up and up.
Hasan, I thought the United States was Nazi Germany. Like, why are you like, oh, you've destroyed your credibility here, bro? You hate America, don't you?
The very same tactics that we have observed in countries that we have dominated, in countries that our allies have dominated, like in occupied Palestine, are now being turned back on the domestic home front against American citizens. Masked thugs of the state, unaccountable to no one, unelected, are
Unaccountable to no one. Freudian
They're
slip.
accountable to Tom Homan.
And I do love how we're comparing ICE to Israel in Gaza. It's a one-to-one
the thing is,
comparison.
They are accountable. They're just accountable to someone who doesn't agree with Hasan.
Yes. Not to mention, their
Literally
accountability is... Okay, so what's ICE's job? To deport illegal immigrants. What is ICE doing? Deporting illegal immigrants. Okay.
Hasan most affected.
It sounds like they're perfectly accountable.
Well, no, literally, they're controlled by Tom Homan. It's just Tom Homan really agrees with Donald Trump on this.
The only way that they could be said to not be accountable is if they stopped deporting illegal immigrants. That would be bad, because that's
That would
their
be bad.
entire
But even
purpose.
then, it wouldn't be necessarily that they're not accountable. It would just be they're not doing their job. And, Tom Homan could fire them.
engaging in acts of violence against Americans with impunity. And when
Not
they're
Americans,
not.
though.
Yeah, they're
Americans
literally,
fight back against
literally
ICE,
not
as they
Americans.
did in Minneapolis, ICE shoots back. And the problems continue. The analyst Stephen Semler wrote recently that Trump's budget manages to be $361 billion larger than last year's, despite cutting $300 billion in social programs
now he's a small
and other
government
public
guy.
investments.
Yep.
Oh,
And to
right,
be
okay.
fair, I too really disagree with Trump's budget. I really do.
Yeah, me too.
Doge was a fantastic idea. It wasn't expanded far enough, and all of the savings it did achieve were immediately turned into more bloat. Fucking terrible.
Hasan's tactical libertarianism here.
Yep.
Like, if he got control of the US government, he'd spend like a motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. Like, this isn't an actually principled argument. This is an argument for the midwits in the room to go like, oh, but they've spent more money. Well, I don't like that. I don't like that either. What would you do instead?
do.
I'd spend even more, but on healthcare.
You love government spending, retards. Like, you literally want them to give free healthcare to everyone.
All of that money is going to policing, and it's going to endless war. It's not going to bridges, it's not going to tunnels, and it's certainly
See?
not going to healthcare.
See?
Every single one of
You
you,
do want
regardless
extra spending. You just want it for the things you like.
Of course he does.
of your political affiliations or your ideology should consider that money to be stolen from you.
Taxation is theft, Hasan? Holy fuck! Holy shit, Hasan!
He's winning me over.
Yep, no, Hasan for president.
Whenever I have to do my taxes, I'll think of Hasan.
I'm all aboard.
Fucking hell, Hasan. That's a great point. I love this. The government stole that tax money. I should have stolen that tax money.
That was mine to steal.
That's literally his argument.
From you to be put towards industries of death that have no future. This bargain isn't tenable anymore. It's over. It's not tenable for the employee of the California missile designer. It's not tenable for the veteran who wants free college. It's not tenable for the kids in crumbling Philadelphia schools. And it's certainly not tenable for the homeless, the working class, and of course, for the rest of the world. Those.
I do also like the obvious contradiction here. He is standing at one of the most elite universities in the world, in front of a room full of trust fund kids, paying God only knows how many hundreds of thousands of dollars in tuitions, talking about crumbling Philadelphia schoolrooms in a beautiful 1700s building.
God, yeah. How much do you think that room cost to kit out?
Oh, fucking hell. I don't want to think.
Millions of dollars.
Who happen to exist under the boot. We have been spoiled by an American way of life that requires so much death. The fruits of imperialism were always immoral. Now, they are obviously rotten.
Yeah, but America had a nice way of life before World War One.
Yeah.
Like, before it became an empire, it still had a nice way of life. America is a rich continent, and the ideology, the Protestant work ethic, made it do very, very well.
I don't know how else to put it. The American empire is fading fast, regardless of what we resolve here today. And I'm not.
The American empire is fading fast, as every communist said for 100 years.
Yeah, but I mean, like, again, aren't you in favor of that?
Not just saying that so that I have an upper hand in this conversation. No matter what we say here, American empire is going to inevitably fall.
Yeah, all empires do.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think,
I have
as
lost.
Mao Zedong himself said earlier,
It's like Mao Zedong.
there is a power within the American people to change the nature of this decline. He had a lot more confidence in the American labor class than many Americans do today, I'll tell you that much. I believe that we are living through a strange and radicalizing time for millions of Americans, and I've seen that with my own two eyes. I've gone to protests all around the world, tasted the tear gas of different countries, and I've seen Barbara's and Deborah's, aged 75 and above, yelling at ICE agents in Minneapolis.
What a revolution.
The contradictions have worsened, and they are also restless. They also want that change. People intuitively understand that there is another way for the United States to exist in the world.
That is correct. That's why they overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And okay, that is his speech basically done, and there's a couple of questions, but that is the lines part of it.
Well, I mean, it's incredible. Bravo. Standing ovation, to be honest.
It is. It is quite the speech. Because again, this is how the communist views the world. The Soviet Union did nothing wrong. Nothing ill happened. It's all America, all the time, 24/7. All of the problems are just non-existent.
Well, it's more
or
than
created
that.
by capitalism.
The Soviet Union wasn't even something that could do something wrong.
No.
That's the thing. It's not an agent, so it's not capable of being wrong, in his view.
It's simply a part of the endless progress of history. The Soviet Union was simply right too early.
Yeah. That's literally his view, isn't it?
And again, this is in front of a packed room at Yale University. These are not fringe political beliefs. These are about as mainstream as it gets. The only thing that has really changed is that our views have now become near equally mainstreamed. If anything, this is when the proper conflict between our two parties will truly begin, because we now actually have two sides of the conversation.
That's just incredible positions that he has. Genuinely impressive.
Yeah, it's
I mean, I really mean it. Like, Hasan is just clearly one of the left's greatest thinkers.
Absolutely. And he
And
has
the thing is-
drawn from very great thinkers as well, like Mao Zedong going, American imperialism will not achieve much, he said in 1946.
But just, this is the thing, right? Everyone's like, oh, I hate Hasan Piker. And I'm like, I don't hate Hasan Piker. I'm actually really glad he exists and does what he does, right? Because he's a terrible example and representative of the left. He's just not capable of giving an honest accounting of anything. So it's just like, okay, yeah, no, anyone who's studied this to any degree is like, wow, this guy's a fucking lunatic. But yeah, keep talking. Keep talking.
Yes. And it's nice for everyone to see this occasionally.
Yeah.
Now, also, chat, tomorrow, as I'm trying to do the long-form videos a week now, we're also going to have the Scouring of the Shire tomorrow, so do check that as well. We'll raid into that after this stream. Because we talked about this a couple of streams ago, the Scouring of the Shire, and it made me want to go back and reread it, and Jesus, there's a lot in it. There's a lot of things in the Scouring of the Shire that very poignantly predict our modern society. And if anything, Tolkien was a lot less charitable with his solutions than we are. A lot less charitable. All right, let me do the donations then as well. Zaloxon, I don't think I want to live in a post-US Empire world. You know, that too is also a good observation. Like, okay, US Empire, it's become just this, like, statement. It's reality. It's what we live in. We've never really considered the alternative to a US empire. And the only alternative right now is probably a Chinese empire.
Well, I said this years ago, right? I remember making this point years ago. So look, I have my problems with the American empire as well, but what's the alternative?
Service
And
guaranteed
it's not great,
citizenship.
actually.
Oh, the alternative is fucking awful.
Yeah, America has its problems, but the alternatives are worse by significant margins.
Yes. By quite a bit.
Yeah.
Marksman, shame Sargon for missing feral historian. Yeah, you should be shamed for that. He was a great lad.
Well, there's nothing I could do.
Well, you could have just...
If I could have been here, I would have been here.
You could have gotten Starlink or something. I don't know. Sandoom, Sargon, why does your mic sound like potato? Does it? Sounds good to me.
Does it?
It sounds normal to me.
I mean, I can check. Hang on a second. No, it's using the correct microphone. Should be fine.
Dreyfy, it has been interesting seeing Tommy Robinson give talks in the US about Islam and the state of the UK.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them, but he's probably got a good beat on things.
I would imagine so. And he could certainly tell more than a few stories about government oppression.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, Christ.
Ron Compton, happy for you guys over in Europe. I think a native is right wing is on the rise. Nativist. I lost hope over in America. Trump is a complete failure, and he's going to sink the right.
Trump is not helping at the moment, I have to say.
There will be a very interesting reckoning of the balance sheet of history. It's going to be, it's going to need like 20, 30 years' time before we can look back and see if Trump helped more than he harmed?
I mean, the problem is that Trump has abandoned his nativism.
Yes.
Right? The problem is that Trump has decided to go all in on Israel first, and that's not helpful.
Because
It gives the left, I mean, A, it's not what I want, and B, it gives the left a massive cudgel with which to beat us. So the right just has to be like, no, we're nativists, right? We're not Israel first. And I don't blame the Israelis for being Israel first. I just want my own country to be my own country first. That's literally it. Not complicated, not in any way controversial.
yes. And Trump's position, like, both the terms, he's basically had like a year to 6 months odd of frantic activity where quite a lot of interesting and good things have usually been done.
Yeah.
And then he enters into a 3-year phase of wishy-washiness, where he is clearly dragged in all kinds of directions by special interests who have figured out how to pet him by the hairs.
Honestly, it's probably connected to Epstein, and it's probably that they're just like, you'll do as we say, and Trump's been like, yeah, good point. I mean, I saw Mark Levin calling Trump the most Jewish president ever the other day. That's not America first, is it?
No. And the whole Iran business has not been a good idea in general.
No, but it's Israel's war, and Trump's allowed Israel to drag them into it. It's like, okay, well, don't be surprised when you lose support.
Again, I think it's going to take a good few decades before we can look back on the balance sheet. Because one advantage that Europe has had is that we've had to arrive at more strident solutions. We've been forced to every step of the way. Whereas America has had that pressure valve release of Trump. It may be that this is a case where a halfway solution is actually worse than a full one.
Honestly, I think so, because we were talking about this the other day. Like, America never had its 0 seats, and so the AIPAC lobby was never removed from the Republican Party.
Yes, so you've had constant problems with the rhinos internally as well.
Yeah, constantly. And it's like, no, the Dan Crenshaws, Lindsey Grahams, they all needed to be booted out. Booted the fuck out.
Yes. Now, and also, to be fair to Trump, he's still got many, many years to reverse course and to really bring this presidency home, and I hope he does. Leo of the Red.
He does, but... Yeah.
Mr. Piker is the product of 1,400 years of cousin marriage, not an intellectual titan. I'm surprised he's capable of dressing himself. Actually, what I find fascinating is Hasan Piker shows up to Yale University dressed down from when he went to Cuba. Like, I mean, I think he's still got his like $1,000 glasses on. Which, did you hear his excuse for his glasses? By the way,
no. What was it?
He found them at a thrift shop.
Oh, fuck off! I just don't believe you.
But Sargon, why don't you believe that he found the $1,000 solid gold glasses at a thrift shop?
Great question. Why don't I believe it?
He could simply be the luckiest human being on Earth.
Yeah. I mean, I guess what the career he lucked into shows that he is.
But piece for piece, I actually think he's wearing less expensive outfit here than the one he decided to wear to the socialist country of Cuba.
Amazing.
Ethan Rogers, our and we, when you did nothing, we will do nothing, and we'll see constantly. You don't even have good metric for success because you fundamentally think it's impossible. You are wrong. That's player. If you look back through history, most empires last about 250 to 300 years, so not really surprising. Yeah. True. And now we know why. Internal forces. Tanushi, when a communist offers affordable living, he doesn't mean lower prices and more money. He means force-feeding lower standards in commie blocks. Yes. Well, that is the only way to achieve it. Like when the Soviet Union made housing a right, as we were trying to do in Europe for a while, which was luckily vetoed, the only way you can actually make housing a human right is by giving everyone a tiny, sad little domicile in mass-produced, public-built blocks. Marksman, ironically, Hasan is doing more than Destiny. Well, yes. Anime Attackman, welcome back, gentlemen. Thank you very much, sir. Lynn Tilson tips my hat to Carl for being an integral part of the political restoration of our country. And I'm glad to see you two cheeseballs back in ArchCast. Live long and prosper, gentlemen. Thank you very much, sir. Sujar, don't forget, commie... Can't say that one here. Provided the commies with nuclear weapons sticks. Bass Player, he is probably salty that Japan surrendered to the US as opposed to the Soviets. Also, the Soviets didn't have to take on anything from the UK. You just sold it to them. Thanks for that. Oh, everybody just sold things to the Soviets. What was that Churchill quote? If Hitler was to invade hell, I would make at least a passingly favorable reference to Satan.
Yeah, I'd make a defense of him or something like that.
Yeah. None of us really knew back then how bad the Soviets were. And to be fair, at least the Soviets could be beaten. The Nazis, if the Nazis had control of the entirety of Europe...
Wouldn't have been good news, would it?
Yeah, I'd rather we fight an economic war against international socialism than the national variant, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, the international one was a lot less stable than the national one internally.
Yes.
Like, Nazi Germany was able to get the entire country to do the same thing quite easily. International socialism had loads of different communist countries who didn't want to be communist, that it had to keep control of. So actually launching massive wars wasn't something it tended to do very often.
Yeah, Qatar, 30 minutes late, but let me guess. The lobotomize with underwater basket weaving and feminist tap dance theory degrades. All agree with Hasan. All agree with Hasan. Neiman Hunter McCarthy was right about the Red Scourge, amongst other things. Colonel Arnold. Also, it was just America that was involved, not like all of NATO assemble an army to send South Korea. No, it was just America. What a dumbass. Weren't there... No, there were NATO forces in Korea.
I'd have to look it up. I don't know.
Because the Brits fought in Korea.
Did we?
I believe so. I'm almost sure.
Well, like I say, I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
I don't know if they were definitely not there to begin with, though. I know that. So they must have showed up later. Possibly after the quote-unquote, like, ceasefire thingy, when they were advancing into North Korea. I'd have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure there were. UN, not NATO. Oh, there we go. Yes, thank you, chat. That was my confusion. Because I know there were Brits in Korea.
Right, okay.
And the Turks, ironically. The Turks, oh. Oh, there you go.
Huh. Some random Turks standing around, not sure what they're supposed to be doing.
Bass Player, Legal Vices, may he rest in peace, did a live stream going through the history of South Korean presidents, and each and every one of them either ended up in jail for corruption or were assassinated. Jesus.
No kidding.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, whilst the Korean society has benefited from Western standards quite a bit, it's not a perfect system. In fact, it's kind of funny, but when Japan called itself basically the Western Asian nation, they were right. They've taken to Westernism and liberalism and democracy pretty much better than anyone else.
Well, Japan's got a funny thing, 'cause don't they basically just have one party?
Sort of, but they do have a fair bit of few opposition parties and things as well.
But it seems to be like one party that gets elected.
Yes.
And then they essentially govern in a kind of unanimous way or something. I don't know, but it's really weird. It's not the same as in the West. So it's very homogenous, you know.
Also, apparently the chick that got elected last time on the platform of getting foreigners out has done the exact opposite. So good old fashioned betrayal again.
God, could our politicians just not betray us just once?
No.
Mad.
And Ackman, snakes, helicopters. The hissing sound is weird. It's got to be tiring on the vocal cords too. Carson Casimir, not dozens of people, dozens of communists. Good point. Colonel Arnold, whoa, buddy, maybe, I don't know, if I tell you not unaliving to billions of people and save the free world. Stop the unaliving of millions to billions of people and save the free world. Huh?
No idea.
Anna McNackman, you can kill Hitler, but not the ideology. Eh, Hasan? That's true.
I do love that. Basically, Hassan's point is Hitler won World War II.
Yes, which is a spicy take.
That's so mad.
Tree. Can I smell your feet?
Anna
You've
McNackman,
really
even
got to
now,
be deep in the weeds to come to that conclusion.
you do. You need to be very deep in the weeds. Even now, the USSR is second. Even in killing, women have aborted more lives than Russia ever could. That's true. Mrs. Wizard Frenzy. So these commies in Yale, should we consider them all to be fully aware that their beliefs are destructive and they simply don't care? Or are they doughy-eyed, I want good things for all useful idiots? The latter,
Nah.
I would say.
No, I don't know. I mean, like they've been watching Hassan for years. A bunch of impressionable young people. They don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying
Hassan
the
has
latter.
deliberately misinformed them.
Hassan stands there on stage and explains to them, communism did nothing wrong. The USSR did literally nothing at all. It simply existed in peace. And then America aggressed upon them. If that is what you are taught from and again, this isn't some backwards bumfuck civil academy somewhere. This is Yale.
I love that. Like in Hasan Piker's reading, the Soviet Union just sat there handing out daisies and then collapsed all of a sudden for some reason one day, and it must have been America's fault.
Yes.
So, right, okay.
Like, again, I want you to put yourself in the position of these people, right? They're young, they don't know any better, they haven't read a whole lot of books, their history course was probably a fucking joke, and they are being taught by one of the most prestigious academies in the world, by here, a super famous multi-millionaire comes up and tells you this, with millions of followers.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you believe him?
And you're like 19 years old or something.
Yeah. I mean, hearing Hassan tells it, it sure as shit sounds like America's the worst thing ever.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jesus.
Hopefully, at least some of them will eventually pick up a book other than Das Kapital and go, wow, this is weird.
Yeah, I mean, like, the way Hassan tells it, it's like Hitler is smiling down on the United States from heaven or something, right? It's like, he's like, yeah, perfect. The United States is exactly what I wanted. So is it, though, Hassan and whoever else? Is that Hitler's perfect idea? Not sure it is.
John's Hodgenboom, I miss the old days of Trump when the big news was the limestone bureaucracy mines.
Yeah, that was such a good story, man.
That was a great story.
Like, actual limestone bureaucracy mine.
I really fucking miss Doge. That was a great idea.
And I missed the first year of Trump's presidency. It was such a ride. Like, when he pivoted to Israel, everything became really shit.
I want more Doge. I don't care, like, because I've seen some people go like, oh, it's been rolled into the government, etc. Maybe it has, I hope so. But I want to cut government spending. That's all I want. I don't want it rolled into anything else. I don't want to see the surplus used for anything else. I just want to see cuts. Deep, painful, awful cuts at every turn.
I just want bureaucrats crying.
Yes. I want every day be department chiefs crying about the dissolution of their entire fucking organization. Yeah. I want the cuts to go so deep that we'll regret them in the end. That's how deep I want them.
Yeah. I want it to go so deep we're going to regret it.
Yes, I want to be sitting there a year later and go like, okay, a bit too much. We'll reverse some of this.
Yeah, we can always just reverse it if we need to.
Yes.
Holy shit.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
Bass Player 2011. Speaking of communist countries, how much longer do you think
Bass
South
Player.
Africa will last? Bass.
Base.
Bass. Sea bass. Bass. Sea bass.
What was his question?
Speaking of communist countries, how much longer do you think South Africa will last?
Oh, it can't be that much longer.
Actually, I think South Africa's got a while yet because South Africa has managed to fully unify its country in racial supremacy, basically.
I have
Yeah, but
lost.
surely eventually enough whites will have left that things will just stop working.
True, but that's assuming they let them leave.
Well, I mean, the problem with the South African government is lack of institutional ability, right?
Yes.
So, like, eventually it just won't be able to prevent them.
Possibly, but if anything, I think that the, like, anti-white sentiment will just continue hardening and fermenting until you have basically a little bit of a servile class created in South Africa.
I know, there's got to be a limit, man. I mean, at the moment, it's something like
Famous last words.
only 30% of the country are taxpayers. Like, that can't go on.
I mean, if your standard is living in a mud hut,
Yeah, but, like, I mean, essentially, I would expect at some point the whites to declare independence.
they tried that.
Sure, but, like, at some point, the South African government won't be able to
Service
stop them.
guarantees citizenship.
Like, the thing with Orania is a really fascinating thing because it's completely illegal under their constitution, and yet the government has done nothing to intercede. And it's like, okay.
Probably because they're still paying taxes and it's like one of their only remaining income sources.
Yeah, probably. But, like, it's like they don't dare intercede. It's like, that's weird.
Well, one, income source, and two, they tried intervening in the past and they realized, oh shit, the soil isn't magical. Even if we seize all of the equipment, even if we seize all of the agricultural land, even if we take everything, somehow it will still collapse.
Yeah, it is magical, isn't it?
It is. Tristan Williams, dollars for the Archgod, shekels for the shekel throne. Thank you for another good show, boys. Sargon's choice. Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
Gerald Logan, I know how to fix most of our problems these days. 10 years of farm work for everyone to bring back the primal understanding of life. Honestly, I would not be necessarily at all opposed to switching out universal conscription for some alternative for labor. Just like a
universal
year
conscription on
or
the
so.
farm.
Yeah, like just a year or so of actual like work in an agricultural setting or something.
Yep.
Or
There are way
forestry.
worse ideas.
Like something physical that requires you to go outside, work, and then, you know, experience what it feels like to come home hungry and have a good meal.
Yeah. Way worse ideas.
Nazar the Scapegoat, I was going to tease Carl for being the poorest American I know, but that would be mean, so instead, Arch, where do you think Nova would rate if it was a US state on a scale of 1 to 51? Total GDP is probably not great, I imagine, because, I mean, there's only 5 million of us.
Yeah.
But
Per capita, it's got to be pretty good.
Oh, per capita is fucking amazing, because we've got a GDP of something like 500 billion, which is absolutely absurd for 5 million people. But I'm pretty sure America... What's the GDP of California? Cali...
Oh, it's massive.
GDP. That's I'm imagining is fucking enormous.
Yeah.
That's
It's like the eighth biggest
4.1
state.
trillion. Holy fucking shit.
Oh, that's bigger than Britain.
Yeah, it's insane. That is absolutely insane. I I would wager we'd probably be somewhere in like the lower third. Then we'd definitely beat up like Alaska, obviously.
Well, yeah, I should hope
Yeah.
so. There's like 500,000 people in Alaska.
Yeah, probably quite a few of the southern states. So I think we'd probably be somewhere in the middle, I'd wager. I'd guess. But for per capita, I think we'd probably be in the highest in the fucking US, because our per capita is fucking ridiculous. MacLeod.
Cloud.
MacLeod. The experiment that has failed since the days of Sparta, but then again, their worldview history only starts when they were born. Oh, well, it's even worse than that. It's iterative, right? So it doesn't matter how many times the experiment fails. That's entirely irrelevant. The only thing that's relevant is that the experiment is taking place and will therefore inevitably lead to utopia. Harry the Human substitute ranker. Oh, I wrote a question at the show, as I must have missed it or ran out of time or something, so enjoy the video comment. But if there anyone I can contact about, I had to make a new Lotus account just for the ticket. Another account for a gold comment. I'm locked out of the old one. Technically something where I won't accept a pass work, or let me reset one?
Yeah. Email contact@lotuseast.com and let them know what your accounts are, and they'll be able to sort it out for you, man.
Okay. Best player. The funny thing is, if these LARPing revolutionaries get their way, they will be first. Yes. I mean, Hasan would assume the position of the King of France's cousin during the revolution. The man who literally voted for the execution of Louis, who would later be executed like 6 months later in the same guillotine. Yeah. That would be Hasan.
And these people were all like under suspicion just because of their relations. Didn't matter how much of a fervent ideologue against the crown they were. Because they were related, it was assumed they were suspect.
Yes, and because they were part of the aristocracy. It doesn't matter then. You're part of the class, you're bad.
Yeah, it's because you're a part of the class that you're bad.
Dizwiz seems like Trump grasped the flow of spice oil in his hands, and Supreme Court saying there will be no election month, only day. Is he really losing beside I've got nowhere to go? Libturds and 2-0 EU trash? So, this is why I'm saying it's going to take a few decades to truly know. Because the seizure of oil and the restriction of flow to China could potentially be a major geopolitical force. Possibly.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with it. I mean, I don't think anyone does. But, we just have to wait for it to shake out.
And now the election day thing, that is potentially huge. I don't think that's been settled yet, has it?
What was that, sorry?
There's currently a case in the Supreme Court where they're trying to determine if there is an election day. So all votes must be counted on that day.
Oh, I'm not aware of that.
I've heard something about it, that it was making its way to the Supreme Court right now. I don't know if it's been ruled on. But that would be enormous, yes, because that means that all of these other states that have historically, and for no reason whatsoever, no actual reason, been dragging it out, counting votes for weeks, will simply not be allowed.
Yeah. Which,
I'm entirely for that.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Like, okay.
Get the job done, you cheating bastards.
If we lived in a nice, high-trust society, then I'd be like, okay, sure, you've got loads of votes coming from loads of different places, fine, take your time to vote them. But we're not. I believe you're cheating. I think you're trying to fix this.
You know what's really interesting is since Trump's last victory, the Democrats have been very quiet. Like, the Democrat Party has been not, being able to capture media headlines in the way they used to.
Yeah. And as the final argument as well, counties or states like Florida with 20 million people, they managed to count all of their votes in one day. So what the fuck's the problem?
Well, counting votes is actually not a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah. We have the technology.
Yeah. Shocking to say.
And if we don't have the technology, just hire in like 1,000 aunts to sort them into piles. It's not a problem. It's genuinely not a problem.
Yeah.
MJ Bull, there were short-term problems with the USR failing, but those countries under it could now move forward long-term without it. Yeah. Like, of course, any collapse of a state is going to have some problems immediately.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
But it's going to get better.
I'm pretty sure the people in the Soviet Union say it was worth it, though.
Yes.
Or the former Soviet Union.
The Sober Viking, wait a minute. Communists are literally snakes? Yes. At least that is their sound of disapproval. Only
They spend a weird amount of time hissing.
They do. I can easily sit here listening to Hasan speak, and I simply just refuse to accept the moral finger-wagging from an ideologue that worships the blood god of the Eternal Revolution.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't take him seriously on any of these things. I don't think he is, like, an authority on them, you know?
Kazi Jaeger, it's a shame that the most successful way for a country to build an ideological defense against communism is for communism to come to power. Yeah, that tends to inoculate a country for a while.
Yeah.
That's why a certain half of Germany votes overwhelmingly for AfD.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Based East Germans, man.
Easy, Chairman Mao declared war on the Spanos and lost. I don't think he was a good judge of his opponents. It's true. Cuban, the governor of Mississippi, is trolling the UK on X over the poll, lol. Also, is Total War Troy worth of $7 on sale at the moment?
Yeah, it's good for a laugh.
For $7? Sure. Just,
yeah. I wouldn't buy it full price. Pharaoh was okay. I got a few hours out of Pharaoh. I enjoyed it, but it's not perfect.
I really didn't like Pharaoh. To me, Pharaoh was basically the summary of everything that was wrong with Total War.
Yeah, there are a lot of flaws in it, don't get me wrong.
Dreyfy, wasn't Marx in his life a deadbeat who sponged off his family and brother? Thinking of that, I find Hasan building a career of communism humorous. I recall seeing a photo of him as a child literally owning a goddamn pony. Yes. Communism has ever been a ideology well adapted taking advantage of the kindness of others. In fact, one might say it's a primary ability.
And the funny thing is as well that Engels was a factory owner, a capitalist, taking advantage of English labourers. And Marx was sponging off that.
Animate Acumen, what about that time Epstein called you a gamer word on Xbox Live when you were 12? That would be a connection. True, a tenuous one, but a connection. Mr. Smith and Frenzy, Arch and Sargon don't know Epstein. They've never met Epstein or had any contact with him. But I'm sorry, I can't go on. That's okay. Your tears say more than real evidence ever could. Yes. The entire thing, like, okay, this is why also I don't really think that anything has been with Trump and Epstein, that they're using this against him. I don't actually think so, because they're just... all of it has come up with nothing for Trump and Epstein. Every time.
Yeah.
Every time Trump has been mentioned.
3 million files are still unaccounted for, right?
Yeah, but I still cling on to the old adage of innocent until proven. Can't say that on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I agree, but, you know, why are the other 3 million not let out? You know, it's just weird.
I know, it is retarded. It's dumb. He should have just dumped all of it.
Trump going full-throated Israel is a bit odd, you know. It's like...
But I also just don't see Trump as the kind of guy to be blackmailed. If anything, I feel like he'd do the exact opposite out of fucking spite.
Well, I mean, maybe it's really bad.
Who knows? I'm still subscribing to the satanic portal theory.
Yeah, and I'm not casting any aspersions, but, like, why would he be like this? He's attacking all of his closest and, like, best allies. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, Qatar. And not a single university student knows this, because university colleges are not centers for learning. Pay us money and say you're educated. I mean, Yeah. Like, that is actually kind of, well, they're not centers of education, they're centers of indoctrination. Because otherwise, again, the entire idea that America just got involved in a war in Korea is obviously ridiculous.
Just happened, bro. Don't know what to tell you.
Marek Zelinsky, Hassan Abi, is one of the worst examples of champagne socialism, and people still do understand that he is a great grifter of such proportions, even his side knows it, and still he gets the benefits of the doubt every single time.
Yeah, it's pretty mad, isn't it? Like everyone knows he's a nepo baby.
Yeah. But he's an effective Nepo baby, and that's all they care. That's all they care for.
Take that away from him.
Best
Very
player?
few nepo babies are as good as Hasan at being a nepo baby.
The problem with asteroid mining isn't getting there, it's the logistics of getting everything back. Asteroids, sadly, don't sit still. Yes. Well, we need to get there, that's hard, and we need to bring enough stuff with us to mine, and then enough stuff to fire it back to Earth. It is unfortunately rather complicated, but once we figure it out, and we will, it will be incredible. Halcyon Asher reminded that Hassan would also use that reasoning to frame Iranian protesters as CIA Mossad agents. Of course he would.
Yeah.
Definitely not a Frenchman. Sargon, any painting tips for a new mini painter? Art, how is the fantasy game coming along?
Find some YouTube videos and thin your paints.
And the fantasy is coming along very well, actually.
Yeah, everything's going great.
Zaloxon, honestly, with the way things are going and all the brown invaders ruining the West, raping and killing, and doing anything they can to ruin us, I think it would rather be under Nazis. Sorry, but we really did fight the wrong enemy. Listen, I think the Nazis would have been worse in other ways.
Yeah, people assume that there'd be no problems, and it's like, no, there would be problems.
Service
There'd be
guarantees
problems.
citizenship.
There'd just be different problems to the problems we have.
If anything, like, I actually think it would be much the same thing, because here's the thing. Eventually, the war would be over, and the vampire economy wouldn't keep running eternally, which means that you couldn't artificially boost the economy via mass conscription, for example, a huge infrastructure building project, a la China, which will then lead to a bubble, which will burst, and then depression. And then you have an authoritarian government that relies entirely on the direct approval, politically, of the people to continue to exist. Once that is no longer the case due to falling standards of living, they would do exactly the same as the socialists did to regain power, e.g., spread themselves more thinly across more populations. We'd have probably the same immigration problems, honestly. Easy. But Arch, if we solve resource shortages, the commies can't foment revolution and sneak their way into power so they can finally feel important. Yes, and that is why they will lobby against asteroid mining if we ever figure out how to do it. Lord Commissar Spartan, we're going to keep spending beyond our means because America will bail us out afterwards. Yes. That is the assumption made by many. And Ackerman, you're right, capital doesn't go to where it's needed because you're a leech, Hassan. How about our veterans living on the streets? That's true. Hassan could earn a bit more money. Hassan could be taxed more heavily. He could. We could tax the rich. MJ Ball.
Yeah, how much tax does Hasan want to pay? Because I think you could voluntarily overpay.
He could.
I don't think they're going to complain.
He could. MJ Bull, leftists cannot seem too unable to resent that a loan is renting cash to achieve a specific goal. You cannot live off loans permanently. Well, if you assume that money is just a magical thing that we make up in unlimited quantities, and that making it up in unlimited quantities will have no effect whatsoever on the rest of the economy, then you can. Unfortunately, history has proven that this isn't really the case.
Mm-hmm.
Papatsego, they insist they aren't lizard people, and yet they constantly exhale like a reptile when confronted by something that upsets them. That's
I
true.
think I'm gonna have to go to bed, man. It's quite late. Well, it's not that late, but I'm just fucking shattered.
All right. That's fine. You can go to bed,
Sorry,
Sargon.
Yeah. All right, man. But yeah, nice to be back. See you next
Very
week.
nice to have you back.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll cover something interesting next week. So, all right. Nice to see you all, chat, and I'll see you all later.
See ya. Colonel Arnold, didn't Hasan say Crimea was Russian territory? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, but... MJ Bull, so you fight ice, the ice agents shoot back. Duh. Well, yes. Shoot back. Well, he did say shoot back, didn't he? That's a Freudian slip right there. Marek Zelinsky, tax Hasan's glasses and the poor will get rich. True. Russ Garbage Human, this tax money was paid to me 3,000 years ago. Mr. Rich Low Pitch, hey, some despicable thief robbed this bank vault. I wanted to rob this bank vault. Hasan, probably. Not even probably, likely. Harry the Human Substitute Rankar, the sun will blow up in 1 billion years, so all life is pointless because our achievement will be wiped away. Technically true, but so far into the future, it just doesn't matter or count. Yes. 191 Redbird, a room full of people that I have never earned a blister or callus, preaching about being part of the working class. Yes, the Ivy League college people. Marek Zelinsky, another useful idiot that knows how to solve world problems, and he will be the one that knows how to run a revolution that will be one more time. The one that will not fail like it did last time. Siloxon, holy shit, Hasan is actually speaking truth about who controls America, Iran, and the Middle East. Animate Acumen, DSP or Hasan, who is going to last longer? Actually, that one's a little bit difficult. Because my immediate instinct is DSP, but I don't know. Because the thing is, DSP could eventually just be demoralized and give up. Whereas Hasan can't be demoralized and give up. Because if Hasan is ever demoralized and give up, he'd have to face the fact that his entire life, his entire belief system has been fundamentally wrong. And worse than wrong, fundamentally damaging and abusive. I don't think he could do that. I'm gonna have to say that I think Hasan is going to last longer than DSP. And it pains me a little to say that, but I think it's the case. Uncle Shio, everything Comey says is the opposite of reality. Most of it. Other than taxation is theft, that was correct. Matt Sam, Trump is systematically weakening, taking out China's allies, like in preparation for a future conflict, but Israel is to blame, of course. Well, I mentioned this was one of the first things I said about the conflict as well. The thing is, I don't think he's preparing for a future conflict. I think the goal with this is to prevent a future conflict, because China is on the clock with Taiwan. It has made Taiwan's continued non-existence a key political issue to itself, and one of the main reasons for its continued existence. It is a civilizational goal for China to seize Iran. However, every year that passes, it sees Iran, Taiwan, Jesus Christ. Every year that passes, that becomes more and more difficult. It becomes more difficult because of increasing Western aid to Taiwan, increasing Western arms shipments, aircraft in particular, and main battle tanks. China doesn't have a whole lot of time left to it if it wishes to try to seize Taiwan. Furthermore, if the Taiwan conflict can be avoided, it will prevent China from achieving its civilizational goal and thus unifying its people. And that unifying its people is very important. They need the national pride to survive the inevitable bursting of the economic bubble in China. Because once that economic bubble collapses, and it will, because it's the very same vampire economy as demonstrated by Nazi Germany, that will lead to massive, large-scale civil unrest in China, which will in return lead to China returning to what it's done for the majority of its history, large-scale civil disorder, and probably breaking up into dozens of smaller warring kingdoms, all fighting over who gets to be China. Which is, again, why I believe that this is about avoiding a conflict. Because in the avoidance of that conflict, China will eventually be defeated in the same way that the Soviet Union was defeated. And that is very much so a valid potential large-scale strategy, but the thing is, it could have been achieved in other ways. It could have achieved via, for example, blockading the Strait of Hormuz without attacking Iran. It could have been achieved via international sanctions, like what America did to Japan, for example, blocking its ability to import certain resources. There were cheaper and more effective ways to do this, but perhaps not ways with as much in the way of, how do I put it, excusable rationale, maybe? Misdirection, perhaps, is not a bad way of putting it either. So there is ways to interpret this in a positive manner, and only time will truly tell if many of these assumptions will be, borne out and prove to be correct. Right now, we are assuming this is Trump's plan. And I do believe that the other assumption, and the one I made also, that Trump was doing this to try and liberate Iran, because I genuinely do think that he thought this would be a nice thing to do, to liberate the Iranian people. I still think that was at least a part, if not the main part of the motivation. Because Iran was in a revolt, America wanted to strike during the revolt, but it didn't have enough time to mobilize its forces to do so effectively, so they waited. Then the revolt ended, and Trump decided to go ahead anyway, hoping that the Iranians would rise up. I think that is at least as likely an explanation, if not even more so, than the China angle. And again, I recognize both. But the problem is, once the revolution ended, you're going to have to wait for the next one before you can try and ferment another one. And without large-scale ground military intervention, which they shouldn't do, you're simply not going to topple the regime from the air. It's just not going to happen. It's never happened in human history, and it's not going to happen now. As for the conspiracy theories about Israel, I genuinely don't believe them overmuch. I think it's too much of a conspiracy theory, and all of this could be more easily explained by the previous two reasons rather than the Israel one, in my opinion. No one. EF7U. Nazi Germany was just as socialist as the Soviets. They had discipline, sure, but their economy was still imploding even before the war. Correct. Well, the war was a way to keep their economy running, in essence. Hexy, Carl, Trump invaded Iran because of the Epstein files. We're just going to take that on the face value, Arch? No, he didn't quite say that. Although there were implications, to be fair. Zenothium, Arch, Disco demands more editing work. Well, I'll have to find more for Dinko to do then. Dinko will have to be buried. Because that is the fate of a Dinko, to be buried. Also, I do need to download this Lore Week's lore video so I can pick up that one up as well. There we go. Marksman, you don't want Rupert or Trump. You want Bukele. Bukele? I don't know enough about him. Pop that stag. I feel that if a modern communists were forced to come to terms with the wrong of their ideology, they were experiencing ego unraveling. Yes, I do believe that as well. I don't think a modern-day communist can ever face the fact of what they've believed and what they have done without damaging themselves. And the human ego is specifically designed to protect itself from exactly that kind of damage, which is why I don't think they'll ever accept it. Matson123, Sargon, AA is not the best source of foreign takes. Academic agents, I'm assuming. Carson Kazame, Hasan will beat Trotsky if he wins. Yes, he will be replaced by a Stalin, inevitably so, because he is weak in a feat. Konlan, I thought the hissing was people against Hasan. No, they're hissing to show displeasure at what he's saying, about the things he is saying.
Sir?
Mazjin, if they knows people can plan 40 plus years, it over a goy.
Sir?
DSV Titan, my money isn't DSP lasting longer. Hasan is bound to say something eventually to get nuked and pig roach is eternal. I don't know. Listen. I don't think so. Again, I bring up the Vorsh position of this. Vorsh was literally caught with lolly horse porn, actual bestiality of a horse fucking a lolly, 2 lollies, on his computer, on his live stream, on his screen, and he survived with barely a dent. That is the level of ideological conformity and acceptance on the left. I do not think there is anything Hasan can say or do that would alienate his base to a sufficient level where he will actually become cancelled. Beyond him being jailed or kicked off every platform in existence, which I also don't think is going to happen, I don't see it. I don't see it happening. Hasan Asher, member for 16 months. Thank you very much, sir. The goal of the conflict is to take an ally from China and add an ally to America, and one with lots of oil at that. I mean, that would be an excellent goal, yes, but again, if you were going to do that, you'd have to have done so earlier, during the Iranian Revolution, or wait until the next Iranian uprising. But it is a good point, absolutely. If they could flip Iran, that would be enormous, but the timing was off. Lord Commissar Spartan, Brandon Herrera, 2032. I could get behind that. I like that man. He seems like a good individual. He looks like a very good individual. Zoroxon, if Trump isn't on the Epstein list, why would they be able to tell him what to do? And Trump needs to dump Israel and get rid of the illegal immigrants. It was our last chance to vote our way out. All that's left is citizens' actions to take care of them. Again, that's why I think we're going to need like 10 to 30 years to truly figure this one out. Because the benefit is that in Europe, more and more strident legislation is being suggested every day, to the point where the European Union is starting to get cooed out by the right-wing parties. Simply because the problem has gotten that severe. So whilst America benefited enormously in the short term from the pressure release valve, maybe it would have been better to go for the long-term solution. But again, the thing with all of this is hindsight is, as always, 2020, and we still don't actually know if that is the case, as we're making a lot of assumptions based on his most recent actions. He still has many years left to reverse course. However, politics is kind of like football. You're ever as good as your last performance, your last match. Marksman, did you see the New York Times article that was leaked? The meeting with Trump and Israel. Sargon covered it. Looks like Israel was pushing, but Trump ultimately went with his gut about it. Vance and Rubio said, bad idea, but would stand by him. Well, that is actually good, though. They should stand by him. He's the leader here, and they must back him, even if they don't agree. That is actually the good and correct thing to do. And no, I didn't see the article. Again, I do feel like I feel like Trump just wouldn't be bullied. I feel like Trump would be the exact kind of person that would respond very, very negatively and probably very, very aggressively to attempts to bully him. At least that's my feelings on the matter. John Jim, of course, you like Brandon, half taco, 1/4 SS. It's a pretty good combination, to be fair. And Carson Casimir, if things go wrong, I'm just going to hold up on the Rockies and wait it out unless I stand to profit. A wise decision. A wise decision, sir. And with that, we are at an end. Thank you all very much for watching. Thank you for your generous donations, as always. Thank you for hanging out today, chat. It has been fun, as always. Tomorrow, we'll have another weekly long-form video. I am doing that as an experiment now. The point is, I'm going to see if I can do fewer but bigger and more properly scripted out videos. So if you like that, well, please do go over, leave a like, and leave a comment to get the algorithm to spread it out a bit as well. Because, in essence, this one video has to do a week's worth of work for it to remain entirely, both channel growth-wise and economically sustainable. So, there it is. Those are the facts of the matter. Plus, I do think this is a really good video as well. Until then, chat, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Have a good night, chat.